Okay, I got the red smoke.
Gun runs north to south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke.
Okay, copy. West of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now.
Come on with it, baby. Give it to me. I need it. Get cleared hot.
Copy, cleared hot.
How are we doing audio right now? Are we just gonna do lavs?
You have a lav hooked up to you.
I know. I'm just wondering if that
you want
good
extras?
with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Is that going to be audio? Is going to be good?
Yeah.
Oh, you're monitoring it.
What do you think about that?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you're
John, have you
indoors
done-
and
have
have
you-
your Pro or iPro.
Hey
on.
John, have you balanced audio with just a pure lav podcast before?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, the last one we did.
Multiple times.
Yeah, ours.
okay, just checking, just making sure.
Yeah.
I don't
Hey,
like to leave like
it's a good
rocks
question.
unturned.
Oh fuck yeah!
John did not like that.
Right?
He was offended.
Who did?
We'll talk about that later, John.
Yes, sir.
It's
Why does he have iPro on?
Because he's always prepared for ballistic, capable gator glasses,
Yeah,
courtesy of you. These are actually really nice glasses. Thank you for these.
You're welcome.
I hate him.
Do you-
I hate him.
That's exactly why I didn't give you a pair because I've given
you
you
did,
multiple
and I
pairs
fucking hate
before.
I hate them.
What do you not like about them?
My head, I've got a fucking really wide head, which is surprising because he has a really fucking wide head.
It's super wide.
But look at how wide mine is.
Is your head really wide? You know,
Yeah.
your hands are pretty big.
I know.
Which is
These
weird.
do not fit my fucking wide head. They fit this fucking
That's weird.
Asian wide head. They don't fit my. I have a
No, they
fucking
barely look.
giant
They barely.
wide head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're malleable.
Yeah, you could flex them.
you can't because when I bend them back out, every pair I've ever had, I can't bend them to make them.
These fit
comfortable.
good though.
Like I
Yeah,
can't
'cause
bend
they're
them
awesome.
to make them comfortable.
That's why I only brought one pair, and they weren't for you.
That's
Because
fucking
I
great.
gave you a bunch, and I recognized that you never wore them. So I was
sold-
like,
because they're
sold them
really
to me.
uncomfortable for me.
for you,
For me.
for you.
Now I recognized why people like them for skydiving because
Yeah, because they're amazing.
They slide in your helmet really easily. So I've just got to get maybe an extra wide.
You see the
pair.
size of your hands?
There you go. Hey baby.
You have some big ass hands for.
Don't be trying to cheat. Don't be trying to cheat, girl.
I ain't cheating.
Yeah.
Still bigger, but for jet, like that's super impressive.
Hold on to make Evan feel better.
I have. Here's an interesting fact about me, right? Which is, I have like something like 300 or 400% more Neanderthal in my genetics than most people. So I'm like Jew Neanderthal. It's weird. It's a really
It makes
fucking-
sense.
It's a really
Geanderthal?
strange,
Cro-Magnon.
strange blend. Jew Neanderthal.
Neanderthal. No, those gators are awesome. I just had those made.
This isn't a commercial.
I know
This
it's
is
not a commercial.
podcast.
You're drinking. What are you drinking right now? Oh, I left that cup. there, my
God
bad.
damn it.
What do you guys want to talk about?
Oh, I've got something I want to start off with.
Okay,
I've
I
got
was gonna
something I
say.
want to start off with. I'm
Is
gonna
it
cut
review
this.
of your jump footage, or what are we talking about?
No, I want to start this with this, which is, I was thinking about this specific topic, which I thought you guys would enjoy. I have decided that the problem with our society is that the gatherers somehow have been put in charge of the hunters, whereas up until about 50 years ago, and I traced it back, my theory is when I'm tracing it back to the
What the fuck is
presidents, like we lost, like the real hunters lost the Clinton election because HW lost to Clinton, right? You tracking with me?
You're going. Okay, I got you. I
But
just.
I
literally
think
doing
that in
Instagram
in
stories.
modern society, I think hunters lost control to the gatherers. And that's what's fucking broken in our society is because the gatherers were actually never meant to be in charge.
But were the
they
hunters-
don't have the strength or capacity to be in charge because they capitulate for emotion too easily.
But wouldn't it also be dangerous to have only the hunters in charge as well? Don't you
I
need
think
a
it's worked
blender-
out great. I think it's worked out great.
Where?
I'm just saying, I haven't worked all the way through this.
I think I understand what you're saying, but I think it's supposed to be a balance. I think balance in all things is what is good for longevity. I don't think the pendulum extremes. I think we're seeing the pendulum extremes right now, and it appears to me, very non-educated person, that it's a shit show.
It's a shit show. I agree. I'm saying from a novice anthropologist.
Yeah.
Which is myself.
Anthropological?
I like to call myself a novice anthropologist. That's what I like to do. Either way, I think that there's too many collective voices from people that have like little to zero context for life reality, or their life reality is like it's too isolated for them to have a legitimate voice. So we were talking about this either way just like 10 minutes ago. Like rich white liberals are some of the worst people in society. Like they're like crazy. They're crazy people.
They hate themselves.
Yeah, I went to this thing in Salt Lake a few weeks ago, and they look really unhealthy. Like I went and we did this Easter thing. Like it was supposed to be fun. We went to this neighborhood, and the neighborhood's like it's Easter egg gathering. It's like one of the whitest things I've ever done in my life. It's just like, like I'm not even fucking around. It's like acoustic guitars and like all their kids are so fucking translucent. They're like so white, they're translucent.
Because they rarely go outside.
Yeah, they never go outside. They're all on fucking soy milk. You know what I mean? They're all like drinking soy milk. There's no protein. They're probably all fucking like vegan cereals. They're like, they look unhealthy as a general population. Their skin is almost like translucent, like a jellyfish, and they have, I would imagine, somewhat cerebral, intellectual driven jobs. So there's no physicality of their circumstance, and then they're kind of continuing on this trend of what I just assumed. I was like, these people are all gatherers. There's not one person here in this collective. There's like a couple hundred people there. It's like there's not one person here that's ever been punched in the mouth. There's not one person here that's ever been like had to kill something to eat it. They're just too disconnected from the realities of society.
I think the disconnection is probably dangerous. I mean, I don't know. I try not to judge people on whatever political ideology that they may have, but I think the disconnection from the realities of life is incredibly dangerous. I don't know where the liberal versus conservative fits into that, because there's some fucking cuckoo, MAGA choo-choo train people on the right that are equally insane.
Absolutely. Like, I'm not debating that.
But I also think some of their issues, though, are a massive disconnection from reality. So I think that the disconnection might be more dangerous than the political ideology behind it. I'm also an idiot, though. So who knows whether or not that's true.
You're qualifying this. We're all qualifying. Like, what are we going to name this? Like, 3 idiots talk about the
2 idiots
society?
and a dum-dum.
Yeah. 2 idiots and a
I'm the dum-dum.
Yeah.
No. There's a thing that was released a couple of weeks ago that Korean children raised in Korea have an average of it's something like 18 points IQ higher than American kids.
It's true.
Because they're not
dumb.
Well, no, they're not being pushed.
Yeah.
Like parents don't
There's
like
no
to
discipline.
push their kids.
Yeah. Because you're handing all the education over to the institution, and obviously the institution would take care of your children, except that's not happening. When I went to school in Fayetteville, North Carolina,
Badass.
A horrible school system.
What?
The worst. Vietnam. The worst school system. I literally, because I played football, had teachers that would be like, "You don't need to do that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do nothing. Like, nah, you're a football player. Like,
that's a good point.
You don't do that." Yeah. And the teachers were all. I had 2 teachers that were both veterans that were squared away. My social studies teacher was a black guy, and he was super squared away. You could tell he had the military, like you could tell he had discipline and all the values from the military, and he entrusted that experience with like how he taught and how he led, and it was amazing. And I was like, dude, this dude's like squared away. Like this could be, this is awesome. He's a mentor. And then you had other teachers who just didn't give a crap. They just were there to collect a paycheck. And that's normal for the school, public school institution. That's why I'm homeschooling my kids. They will never go to school.
Really?
I will dude,
so you went to public school?
Yes.
Public school? Public school. Okay, same.
That was dirt poor, dude.
Yeah.
But looking back on your life, though, did you go anything beyond high school?
Yeah, went to college.
Okay, fuck off. Mike?
I got a bachelor's degree after 15 years of
sweet. So
nickel and diming.
I'm truly at the bottom of the ladder on this one. I graduated high school with...
How did you become an officer?
1.8.
That's when they were giving away
sometimes
commissions
they have
the
what they
GWAT.
call a gap in manning. And they're like, fuck, we need to take everybody who put an application in.
Wow, really?
Yeah. No, the program that I was commissioned through did not require a college degree.
Wasn't it like the Vietnam era battlefield commission? I mean, the
Did you
general.
get a battlefield commission?
It was basically a battlefield.
I did, but it
commission.
was in Coronado.
badass.
Yeah.
So what was the battlefield you were fighting in Coronado?
It was like beating off Bud students. It was fighting
You
them.
were beating them off? All
Yeah.
of them?
You can take that
said
however you
beating
want to.
You said beating off. Fuck.
No, going back to high school though, think of only the public school system that you guys went through. How much of the education that you got are you actually falling back on in your current life or previous careers? Because a lot of people will talk very poorly about the public school system,
Right.
even though all three of us are products of that. I actually,
I had
looking back,
really good teachers.
I had good teachers too, but the most important class, truly, that I think I took in high school was typing. It is actually the skill that I use every
sure.
single day.
I did too. Right.
I enjoyed English, which gave me a better understanding of the English language, and math.
Math was big. Like math, even though it sucked, like because it wasn't challenging for an Asian kid who grew up in math.
Yeah.
I use
Super
math
broad.
more in business than anything else I've ever done. And I wish I had the business experience in math, whether that was college and learning financing, because it's the most critical component to business that people don't pay attention to. So
My point in that, though,
it's applicable.
was I'm not so sure how much of an impact if you were to cut it into a pie. I think a lot of external life circumstance, I think the education system is important, but the family dynamic, the example that's set for you, being pushed by your parent, like, you know what I mean? I grew up Santa Cruz, California, public school system, played a couple of sports, joined the military, and I don't think that the three of us met each other or have been successful in our lives only because of the education. I think it's an easy thing for people to point at and be like, oh, this is, it's terrible. But I think there is a lot more to it than that.
For sure.
So,
Well, I mean, when I look at, on the Army side, our peers, you just take a detachment, like a team. 10 out of 12 dudes are good at their job. 1 to 2 dudes on that team are super high speed and squared away.
Right.
The rest are just, you call them mediocre in that element. Like
that's your average bell curve.
That's your average, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking that 20-80 like we talked about.
Yeah.
So when you think about entrepreneurship, even like in the military, we might have had exceptional careers or paths and did things above and beyond normal. But even being outside of the military, if I look at all the detachments I was on, 10 out of 12 could not do what we're doing now because they didn't have the people skills. They don't, like, there's some guys who just don't want to interoperate.
Sure.
They just want to kick indoors and shoot bad guys in the face. Or they just want to like be introverts and do their thing. They never want to be in points of leadership because they want to be the team guy. And there's different roles, but like being an entrepreneur and even doing like this stuff, like a podcast, where you have to communicate and you figure it out over time, but that's where we're at. Not a lot of guys have that capability. And I think it's I don't know what it is because I put you two and a few others, like the Jockos and not many, Sean Ryan, there's Tim Kennedy. Only a few guys that have that ability to do that business level and then also communicate to civilians that way. And I don't know what it is. It's different.
I don't think it's the schooling.
It's not.
No.
It's definitely not.
Yeah.
No.
It's
I think
definitely not.
I think it's an important base. I think it's like you have to establish some form of intellectual capacity, the intellectual understanding, whatever we want to say. Like, but those are hard skills. I don't think they teach you how to study or how to learn, how to do any of those things.
Would you guys say the Green Beret pipeline screens for intelligence
It does,
indirectly?
yeah. No, not it does directly because you have to have. I mean, the ASVAB is not really an IQ test. I guess it is. It's skill and IQ.
GT score, your GT score
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
be
There you go.
110 or above.
110 or above.
The
your
ASVAB may not
technical.
point directly at your IQ, but perhaps it's swinging a spotlight in that direction.
Yeah, and then they have, but then they have a bunch of other
There's a lot of tests.
There's a lot of tests.
There's a lot of academics.
Yeah.
Really?
It's a ton of academics.
Psychological evaluations.
Yeah.
There's a ton of those in
Yeah.
SEAL training too.
Yeah. Is there?
No. There's
There's
no.
none.
You didn't take the 500 question.
The only time I took a shrink test, the psychological assessment test, was for my screening for the East Coast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
we
it was
do
the
that
bubble
too.
test.
Right.
And I only remember it because the questions were so absurdly
Yeah.
bizarre.
Do you
Yeah.
want to be do you want to be a florist? Do you
Yeah.
like flowers?
Is
You
the
like-
pole jump your favorite televised event?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's not yes or no. Strongly agree,
Oh, yeah, I
neutral,
know that one.
Yeah.
disagree, strongly disagree. There's no
Yeah.
yes, no.
Yes, I took
Yeah.
that one before.
Yeah.
And then you spit it through a Scantron. It's, what did they call it? The Briggs-Meyer personality test,
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that?
Yes.
Which I don't remember what the answer was. And then that was the only time. No, so the SEAL pipeline is past ASVAB. I was going to say 50, but I think that's far too low. But it wouldn't shock me if it was 50. So minimum score, you need to have a heartbeat, the ability to do 8 pull-ups,
Right.
like 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and swim and run.
Right.
But there was a demo test in third phase. There's a diving physics test in second phase. But those are specifically skill set related to the things that they've taught you. They're just like, do this calculation on this time fuse. If you're at 80 feet underwater for 40 minutes, what's your decompression stuff that you're doing in those phases. But there
I
are
got the same thing on Patty. So
Essentially.
basically a SEAL. Same.
true.
Yeah,
Right.
You have the trident tattoo, so
That'd be sweet.
makes sense.
I mean, we're in San Diego. If you guys want to go get Trident tats, I can line that up for
Yeah,
tonight.
yeah.
That'd be fun.
That'd be sweet.
I'd be in it for the
Knuckles,
podcast.
just knuckles.
Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. SEAL, SEAL.
yeah.
Right across
I like
the thing.
that.
So what type
Navy
of test?
SEAL.
You could do that actually.
Navy, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's got to be one or 10 that have that.
It's hard to say.
Navy SEAL.
Green, yeah, you can't,
Can't
improve
use it.
Yeah.
What are the tests that you guys took for intelligence in the Q course?
There's a technical
fucking
test.
know.
There's a technical, it's like the different puzzle, like where it's like you
Well,
have
there's
the
a-
lines and shapes.
Yeah, that's an IQ test.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
that's
do
an
that.
IQ test.
That's part
you
of
have-
the Q course.
Yeah.
Yeah. The psyche val, the 500 question one.
Where
In
you're like,
selection,
would you rather
take
be
the
a
500.
florist,
Yeah.
a botanist, or like trade your ass for money in San Francisco? And you're like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Do they disqualify people due to the results of those tests?
They do.
Oh yeah, you lose a lot of guys in selection because of that.
Interesting. I wonder what would happen if they actually. Well, they have.
You have no
since-
SEALs.
It's possible. They have changed the pipeline since I went through. It's actually vastly different, but to my knowledge, the testing only comes later on. They put a lot of money into trying to figure out the athletic backgrounds and personality types of who was going to make it through.
Yeah.
A lot of swimmers over there, I would imagine.
Crew is the number one.
Right.
What is it?
Crew?
Crew
Really?
rowing, 2-person crew is the number one identifying factor for somebody who's going to make it through BUDS.
That is
What do you
fucking
mean? What do you
really
mean?
interesting.
Competitive rowing,
Yeah.
The person who's a competitive rower has the highest probability of being. Why is that?
followed by chess players.
Yeah. I could see that. You guys are full of chess players.
Yeah,
You seem really smart.
super
enough to
high
be
level thinkers.
I thought you were
Queen
checkers.
to Rook 6.
Chinese checkers. He meant that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's super racist. So we're
sorry.
gonna go ahead and
Well, he
bleep that
is
out.
Chinese. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, also racist. He's obviously Korean.
Oh. I've known him for so long.
I'd be 5'3" if I was Chinese.
No, but so they put
How old you name?
they put an immense amount of taxpayer money and people's time into a pre-screening program with the whole goal,
what?
a pre-screening and training
okay,
pipeline,
yeah. Right.
to try to increase throughput. And to my knowledge, it stayed exactly the same.
Right.
But you had your honor man from your class was a serial murderer.
He
Seriously?
murdered 2 people. He wasn't a serial murderer. He just was
Maybe.
denied parole. He has to be let out in 2030. I'm trying to book him now.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's
Yeah.
yeah.
He was the honorman from your class.
Correct. The honor man of
I
class.
thought you were.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, I was Seaman Apprentice Stumpf at the time. The honor man was a guy named Ben Seifert, who and people listening to this podcast are like, shut the fuck up about Seifert. It's a fascinating story. I'll talk about it whenever I want to.
Is he the dude that killed Like another couple that
they lured him back to
triangle or some shit. Or...
lured him back to their apartment.
That's right.
Shot them in the bathtub, disassembled them with the Spyderco.
Right.
Wrapped them into garbage bags. He used to work at a grocery store, so he knew the pace with which they switch out the dumpsters. So they deposited the body there. Then they went and robbed a Hooters. Got caught stealing T-shirts from Hooters. The officer who showed up in the wife's purse was the identification cards of the people that were missing and a Spyderco knife with like flesh and hair still in the serrated portion of it.
They were doing this as a couple?
Yes.
Yeah.
Soulmates, man. Wow. Ride or
It's like
die.
That is a rom-com waiting to happen. I think.
Do you know the best
like
part?
Lifetime, you know what I mean? Should pick that up.
So here's the best part about this story.
Like-
The arresting officers have found the podcast and have reached out to me.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Oh, it's fucking awesome.
And
now,
did what?
They're just like, hey, just so you know, we arrested that guy, and if you ever want to talk about it, we can totally fill you in.
Sweet.
And he just was up for parole, was denied, but has to be released in 2030. And his
How
wife...
many years did he get?
Shit, this was in 2002 he was in prison, so, I mean, you're the quant. What would it be, 20? Carry the 1?
22 years.
02 to 2022 is 22 years. Very good.
No, it's 20 years.
Good job, buddy.
Yeah. John, give me the answer to that.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Asian in the back.
Secondary quant. Let's get a numbers check on that. So, yeah, he'll be close to 30 years in prison. His wife is in for life.
Was she the
Why
lead?
did she
I
was the lead?
believe that she was the one who it was pinned on, was kind of driving the entire thing.
It's pretty interesting how you would go from killing and dismembering a couple, right, to let's steal some shirts at Hooters. Like, this doesn't seem like a
gap.
crime spree. This seems more of like
A hobby?
were you guys just really, really fucked up?
I think so.
They had to have been, right?
He was kind of a touched person to begin with.
Right.
He would be, like, as an example, we all know somebody who, if we were 5 years from now to see his mugshot and be like, this person was luring kids into an ice cream van down by the river. Obviously, I'm talking about Jack Carr, right? If he was just his mugshot, you'd be like,
Get that face.
you'd be like, yeah, okay. He kind of looks like he's a little. I've told him this. I'm like, you have a pedophile's beard, and you should shave it immediately.
It's
It's a weird. It's like a little. It's tight. It's like a little.
And I'm not saying
It's
that
like it looks fake.
I'm not saying
Really?
that Jack is going to
Kinda.
do these things. I'm just saying, hypothetically, 5 years from now, we see his mugshot. You'd be like,
Saw it coming.
so this kid, I was in selection, and there was like a cork board. I was like getting ready to leave for the day, and pinned up on. I like walked past, had one of those moments where you hear the record like, "Errt," took a few steps backward and looked at it, saw who it was, and read the top. I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
Damn.
And for clarity, the honor man in Buds, it has nothing to do with honor.
Yeah,
he was
what do
the
they-
person.
It's academic.
For him, it was he did not physically fail in evolution throughout the entire training.
Wow.
Did you feel a physical evolution?
I did. I failed an ocean swim one time, of all things, as a water polo player.
Was it just time?
You
did you just
can
quit?
really screw yourself and your dive buddy if you're not good at navigating. You can because
You spent a lot of time doing.
totally.
Yeah.
And so pairing up with the right person, actually, I would say the ability to navigate or guide properly is almost as important, if not more important, than your ability to swim.
Right.
So I played water polo, so it's crawl, stroke. I'm not used to swimming these extended in Buds. Like, you can't have more than your elbow come out of the water. It has to be an underwater recovery stroke. And there's like a boat that you can see on every fifth swell. So yeah, and I was like, well, maybe we'll go towards San Clemente Island for a bit, and maybe we'll come back
Right.
into the shore, and then let's just go over here. It's like, it's my bad. That's my bad. My bad.
Would you have made a good SEAL? Can you swim?
I don't know, man.
Well, first off,
I don't know.
and during the era that you served in, you would have been just fine, because the total number of water operations that I have actually conducted in my operational career is 0.
Right.
So you guys would have been just
Surprising.
fine.
Yeah.
I've done a maritime ops in Iraq with your guys, the SWIT
The
guys.
SWIT guys, yeah.
Yeah, land 160th Fort Lewis, get in the boats, drive the stealth boats down the river.
Oh, yeah.
Get off, hit the target, come back in.
Real
you walk
good.
like
Just
a total
so you know,
10
those
feet.
stealth boats are a secret, but I mean, I guess it's out now.
Oh,
What's
fuck.
stealth boat?
Yeah.
You used the word stealth.
All
I
it
said
is
still.
just a. It's a
That was the
black.
cover
It's just a black
for stealth.
It's just a black Zode. Like, good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy with the
Good
rattle
job.
can. Just
Yeah.
So you're paddling. That's the stealth boat. Is like,
You guys both would have made spectacular SEALs. The more I've been around the special operations community, there's almost no difference between the guys.
There's like no difference. Like
There really isn't.
At GRS, you'd have guys who are like, okay, that's a force guy, that's a ranger, that's this, that's that, whatever. And you, after a while, you're like,
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
oh, there's dirt bags, and everybody has a dirt bag.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I don't know what this means about me, but most of the time, I'd look around and be like, all these guys are really squared away, and they always say that there's supposed to be one dirt bag in the group. And I'd be like, all these guys are squared away. So
Maybe
I don't
it's
know
me.
how that worked out, but did you pick that up?
yeah. I thought in OGA there was a lot of squared away dudes.
I know.
People talk about it like it's like, oh, these dudes are so fucked up, and I'm like, I actually worked with all the dudes, and I can't remember really any dudes that were really jacked
Who
up.
would they say was fucked up?
They'd be like, oh,
Just
it's
in general,
maybe
like-
there's disgruntled dudes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like guys saying like team guys are messed up, and like, yeah, sure, I've ran into a couple, but
Team guys isn't SEALs?
SF guys,
Yeah.
but even SEALs. I mean, I worked with all.
There's been some train wrecks. The single worst experience I ever had with somebody in the special operations community was a captain, a Green Beret captain.
Those are like
Oh,
those
that's
are the worst.
horrible, man.
Yeah,
Well,
they're-
but here's
those
the
are- those
mistake,
are the
though,
worst, though.
and this happens often because I know this happens with people. They'll meet a SEAL or they'll have a few
Yeah.
bad interactions and they judge the community by it. I just had a hatred and disdain for this individual, and I'm like, I don't really care what pipeline you came through. I don't like you, and I
They
don't.
only get 2 years of team time total.
Where do they go after
but
that?
The worst Green Beret I ever met was a fucking captain. Like
Me
the
too.
worst. The worst Green Beret I ever met was a captain. He's a former enlisted guy. He's a former 18 Delta.
Ooh.
And then he
Oh,
became
did I
a
know
captain.
this guy?
He's fucking horrible. No, he was like just a like it's unbelievable how the system just allows people to like continue to fail into it. Just
But to
because
fail
they,
upward or fail forward.
yeah, they kind of fail upward. It was like, he's fucking fat, like sucked at everything he did, and he's just kind of an asshole. And you're just like, geez, man, there's really not a lot of redeemable qualities here. You're not a good planner. You're kind of a coward. Like you're fat. Like it's just kind of like, God, how did you get here? Like, what is it that you wouldn't make a good logistics guy? Like, how did you get here? And you'd honestly just kind of scratch your head and go, what the fuck?
And they hold that rank too. It's like,
Yeah.
Well, where do they go?
Well, and then the
after
bigger
that?
dirtbag
fucking
they
private.
are, the more they utilize their rank to emphasize power because they have to, because they have no credibility or respect by anybody else because they're like, fat, lazy, incompetent boobs. Like the worst guys I've ever met were all SF officers.
yeah, same.
If they only get a 2-year rotation operationally at an ODA, where do they go after that?
Staff, and then they go to their war college to get a master's degree.
Yep.
And then they come back and take company command. So they
are actually achieving positions of greater influence.
yeah.
Yeah.
With only 2 years of operational experience, if
Yeah.
they're lucky, they get one combat rotation, maybe two. If they're lucky.
I was thinking about this. I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, they should turn they should make the ODA team leader slot just a warrant slot. Just give
Should
it
be.
like, because an 03 coming into a team after you have like E6, E7, E8s like that have been there for a while, like they literally offer 0 to nothing. And so
Nothing.
And they're there for 2 years. They're summer help, right? It's like you're there for 2 years. You're fucking summer help. And then you go on to do something else. Like, fucking give it to warrants. Or you can say, well, we're going to extend this period of time. So you're actually here to create value and you're going to be here for an extent. Like, bring them in, create them like interns, and then give them like 4 years there.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't even understand how it works. By the time they leave, they're just then getting it.
It's a check the block.
If you are on the enlisted side in an ODA, can you stay there for an extended period of time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can stay on the
There's
ODA level
paths
for
to
a
it.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can
Especially
go-
if you go back
yeah.
to warrant, like
Yeah, go on the warrant, go in the intel route, so you become an 18 Fox,
Yeah.
which is an intel sergeant. Then you become a warrant. I know guys, there's a path there. There's guys who have 20 years of team time. I mean, they know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
Like I never got hit with a SWIC monster because I bounced to different levels of units, and then never knew that if I just kept rotating, that the SWIC, Special Warfare Center, wouldn't hit me up to be an instructor. So and I would stay operational. There's other guys who are just like, I'll take this where it takes me. And then they get scarfed up by SWIC, or they do 2-3 years of team time, and that's it. And then they're in a B team position, they're in a SWIC position, and you're like, you've never been to war? Like, how is that possible? Like, well, you've probably been avoiding the war.
Anyway, I'm with you. Like, if I would have judged SF just based on officers, I would have fucking hated it too. Funny thing,
it was just that
funny
one
story. I had an SF officer, one of the worst SF officers I've ever had, was while I was at the Q course, Lieutenant Colonel Mars. So hopefully you're listening to this. He
Nice.
We signed a petition to get this guy kicked out of the Q course.
Wait, he was a lieutenant colonel at the time?
So he was running SWIC. So he was the lieutenant colonel going to, like, he was running SWIC.
When you guys say SWIC,
Oh, he was in charge.
Yeah. He's in charge of SWIC.
is SWIC the cadre that oversees the Q course?
Yep,
Okay.
exactly. So we had, as 18 Echoes, we had signed a petition to get this guy removed. We were comms guys because he was a piece of shit. He's a fucking complete asshole. And he's also a piece of shit. So we're like, why is this guy continuing to go through the evolutionary phases? And so we all went on to phase 3, which is called Rob and Sage. And a bunch of us, all of us, the entire class actually signed it. And this dude held us in formation at parade rest for like 3.5 hours before he came out to talk to us. So we're all at like parade rest in the fucking North Carolina sun for like 3 hours. And he finally comes out, and then he's like fucking screaming at all of us. Like, when I joined SF, it was all full of a bunch of fucking drug addicts, and this ain't a fucking democracy, fucking blah, blah, blah. And we're all just standing there. So I'm sitting there, and like halfway through this, I was like, I'm gonna go join the Navy. Fuck this guy. Fuck this guy. I was like, fuck this guy. Like, fuck this dude. Because, and he goes, does anybody have any fucking questions? And I was like, yeah. I'm like the only dumbass to raise my hand.
What rank are you at this point?
E6. And I was like, yeah, so why do we do peer reviews if they don't actually work? Because that's kind of a whole thing. We have to do a peer review, and I don't know, what, once a month or some shit?
Yeah.
I was like, so if you can't get peered out, why do we even do them? Which I thought was a very legitimate question.
Yeah.
And I thought his head detached from his body, and then he levitated, and he was like, it was fucking dirtbags like you. And I was like, well, I'm just fucking curious. Why?
Everybody around you is like a grenade about to go off?
Everybody around me just started to like drift away. And then he's like, who the fuck are you? Hafer. Oh, okay, I got you. And I'm like, Jesus, don't ask questions, I guess. No, fuck. Okay. And and I'm walking away, and one of my buddies like comes up to me, and like whispers to me, he's like, you're either fucking super dumb or you have like the biggest fucking balls I've ever fucking seen. I'm like, maybe a combination of both, because my balls are pretty big and I might be a little bit dumb.
I'm all balls.
But yeah, I ended up going to SERR with this dude because he had to go to SERR in order to be in command of SERR school. And it was hilarious because he was a fucking giant bag of shit, like a complete bag of shit. He was like going through the RTL, where you're getting fucking tuned up.
The Slappy camp.
Yeah, Slappy. Yeah, Camp Slappy. And he's doing everything wrong. He's like, I'm a fucking colonel in the SF. You can't do this. And we're all just like, you're not supposed to be doing that. Like, did you not pay attention to any of the fucking classes, man? Like, goddamn,
Get back in your circle.
Get back in the circle. The dude's getting tossed around, and he's getting fucking slapped, like right in front of everybody. Well, his fucking pants fall down. And so, you're in your little like nurse's uniform or whatever you got. His pants is like they're falling down around his knees.
Oh, yeah, that's right, they are.
And so his fucking dick is like flapping around, and he's getting fucking hit in front of us, and I'm just going, I hate you so much. Please do this for 2 more hours more. I love watching this. And but he was a legitimate idiot. Like, that was the first time in my military career I was looking at somebody going, you're a lieutenant colonel, but you're also a idiot. Like a full-blown...
In charge of everybody.
Yeah, I thought maybe this guy had a portion of his frontal lobe removed. He was so fucking stupid. And he was also lazy. So he's like lazy and stupid. And I was like, oh, well, geez. Like, what a fucking asshole. Like, he's lazy and stupid, so...
He made it through?
Of course he did.
Yeah.
It's like,
he's the fucking,
you know.
Where do you guys go to SEER school?
When?
Where?
So I went to the units, SEER, went to SEER C at SWIC at Bragg.
Yeah, so did I.
And then I went to all of the 215, 245, all the JSOCs.
I went to
I don't have a clue what any of those things mean.
They're all like the...
Yeah, you went to
some of them.
Basic SEER.
Yeah.
In the mountains of here, San Diego. I was paired up with a F-18.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
There's not a Camp Slappy, right?
What?
That is where the Slappy camp occurs.
Oh, yeah. That's the SIL.
Don't look at me like this.
It's basic Navy SEER school.
Yeah.
What do you need another cup for?
What?
Where is Evan going?
Good.
You can do that. You get a laugh.
Oh, he just wants to change cup. Different branding.
And then RCC on it with the marker.
Yeah.
Then there was I think it was high risk SEER school at the end of selection, where they sat us down with the JPRA guys and did voice.
They do MTT,
blood, like all that stuff. Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, where they get you're in an audit.
Did you go to Fort Bragg?
No, it was all done up in Washington.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, where they sit you like you're in a fishbowl and you're getting slapped and you hear all of your classmates laughing at you because it's just like 1-to-1 and it's just like
fucking
and you hear people fucker.
It's being recorded.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite schools.
Those are my favorite schools too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to
It's super fun.
Did you go to H-Rock?
I don't know. What was that one?
High risk operations school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Here's a question for
One
you
of my
guys.
favorite ones.
You're rolled up by Iran.
Yeah.
And you're in an interrogation room and they lay out a pair of pliers.
Right.
And they're like, whatever, how far would you take it before you gave them everything?
They just have to take the pliers out.
I would be like,
they would show me the pliers. They'd be like, okay, what else can I...
They're going to fix the audio.
Hey,
you're like, I'm telling you everything. You're like,
hey.
Oh, we're just going to fix it. Okay, let's...
They're like bringing me some food, and I'm like, I'm going to tell you everything. Like, well, we haven't even started. Well, I thought the platter was full of all the tools. Like, I would have just jumped the gun and been like, listen.
My favorite...
If you want me to convert, over?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I'm ready for this.
Am I ready? Like, where do I take my enlistment oath? I don't know.
My favorite would be like, I would never tell them anything. Like, first off, I don't know anything that's important. So
I don't know fucking jack.
I'll make up fucking nuclear launch codes.
Like,
I'll tell you
I'll do it all.
Everything.
Like, as soon as you get like a tasticle put into
like a vice.
Vice grips.
Yeah.
Like, yo, dude, you're telling me that like I've been around you. You fall out of a 10-mile run. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're gonna like, oh, I'm gonna go to dead. Yeah, you're not gonna fucking do shit. Like, you can't even suck it up on like 170 beats per minute on a fucking run. Like, let alone put a fucking nut in a pair of vice grips. Like, you're done. You're fucking game over, dude. And rightfully so. You shouldn't be telling me anything. Nor should have you. Like, ever. They shouldn't have ever told me anything. I was fucking...
That's all I learned from those schools. I'm like, we can skip all this. I don't know anything, but I'll make stuff up. If you need to write something down and report it back.
Yeah.
Like, the secret word to get into the White House is purple unicorn.
Yeah,
Go to the gate on the eastern side and say that. And
they'll let you in.
Yeah.
They'll let you go see the president.
Can I have a biscuit?
Instantly. Yeah.
You know?
And it's been 3 hours since I've eaten. So can we have a snack now?
Those are fun courses.
They were super
If you
fun.
make it fun and you realize it's not for real. There
But
was
some
people who
were
got too deep into character.
There was people who were fucking insane.
Did they do this one with you where they hooded up? Obviously, you go into the room that's got like a table, and this is just like whatever they'll tell you, like, just shut the fuck up. We're gonna take the hood off, but you don't say shit. And they rip the hood off. And it'd be like me to you to another guy. This happened in selection. And they go into this thing. They're like, "Is this the guy you were telling us about? The guy that works with you?"
Yeah.
And I'm just like, "I've never seen this guy in my life." They're like, "What?" Hit the shit out of me. And he's just like, yeah, that's Andy. Yeah, we're SEALs together. I'm just like, who are you, dude? What
are
the
you?
fuck?
Who are you?
Like, come on. Like, play the game a little bit.
No.
Like, come on.
That's Andy. We're SEALs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, there was people who, yeah. Then there was people who like created their own facade, and yeah, I don't know.
I would just get into it, and I was just having a lot of fun.
It is
So-
fun. You're playing hide and seek.
Yeah, you're playing a game. Like I just remember the RTL was like the most. It was like comedy, nonstop comedy.
So fun.
Where you just see dudes like falling over because they're so fucking sleep deprived, and like,
Did they waterboard people, you guys?
oh yeah, it was rad. It
I was
like,
gonna say they did that
where they
right
put you in the
outside
barrel,
of my little concrete
they
cubby.
put you in the fucking barrel where you can only like breathe out of your mouth,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I can breathe. Like
I'm
this isn't
cozy.
freaking me out, man.
I'm
like
cozy.
Did they
like
do
I'm
the
cozy.
Did they do the claustrophobia test with you?
Yeah,
guys?
like
Yeah, the small box.
not claustrophobic at all. Like I took a nap in
I
there. I was
like
like,
the
this
little
is
boxes.
yeah, it's nice. It
Let me
gave
tell
me a
you-
good squeeze.
Let me tell you who was claustrophobic. Was the motherfucker in the box next to me. I almost had issues because I was laughing so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the same thing. I never actually got to look at it because they put you in there with that hood on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's just a very constricted wooden
You
box.
can't sit
That's all
down.
it
You
is.
can't
Yeah,
stand
and
up.
so I'm in there, and it's like you move around a little bit. I'm like, fuck, whatever. Like, we are literally at a course of instruction.
Yeah.
Not going to be a big deal. And then there's like 3 of us in there, and the fucking box to my left, I'm just listening. I'm like, why is this dude breathing this hard? And then it's just like starts rattling a little bit, and then the screaming and wailing that came out of that
yeah.
box.
Ooh.
Their experience and my experience was very different. I was almost pissing myself laughing. It was
Yeah.
fucking spectacular.
Yeah.
I had the same experience, but he's a really good friend of mine. And I was like, Greg, shut the fuck up. Greg, I'm trying to sleep. Shut the fuck up. And then he busted out of it and he started running around in there. and I just remember this fucking tack. And it was, I think Randy was there. You remember Randy worked with us. And R2?
Yeah.
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 And I think Randy came in and was like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like
Tune him
running
up.
around in there. I gotta get the fuck out of here. I gotta get the fuck out of here. It was so awesome. God, it was so much fun.
I like SERR school.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, I just wanted it. The thing that I really wanted was, like, run it for real. Like, if I E&E and I win, then I win. If
Did they have
if I bust out of here for real, like, I get to fucking bust out of here. Like,
Before
run it
they
for
put you
real.
into camp, though, so for us, it was like 2 days leading up to it. We would do navigation. It had to be pairs, and they would have like roving patrols out.
Same, yeah.
And then eventually, though, there would be this siren, and you had to report to the vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I got separated from my, I got separated from my partner. I forget what the hell he did. It was a pilot. And I had looked at the map enough that I knew where I needed to go. So I just terrain navigated there and got there by myself. And he showed up in the back of a fucking truck, and then we were let free. But then we had to eventually go to the alarm, and then it's like everybody gets slapped around. Like, well, that would have been sweet if you actually could
If you
E&E.
got to E&E
Yeah.
for real. I did some of like my best jokes ever were during SERR school. Like some of my best jokes I've ever
In the
had.
middle of the RTO?
No, on the E&E lane.
Yeah.
I had I went out and I found this fucking blackberry bush, and I found a fuck ton of blackberries. So I was like filling up canteen cups, like I had fucking cargo pockets full of them. And before we walked back into the little camp, what do they call those? Like the little fucking, wasn't a patrol base, but you know what I mean, like a little place where we were like had a little fire going or whatever. And I was like, whoa, my buddy was like, wait, hold on, let's do this. And I took a couple out and I like smashed them all over my face, like I was like jamming berries in there. And I was like walked in and everybody's sitting around the fire and they're like, did you guys find any food? I was like, nah, there's nothing out there. It's fucking totally fucking dry. Nothing's out there. And like, your fucking face. You got shit all over you. You fucking, goddamn it. And I was like, and dude was freaking the fuck out. Like he was freaking the fuck out. I was like, it's a fucking joke, man. Like I got fucking pockets full of blackberries. Like it's a fucking joke. Chill out, dude.
And it's only been like 2 days.
Yeah, it's like 2
like
days,
a
man.
couple
like,
days.
like who cares? And like it's like one of my best jokes ever was that. I had a couple others that were really good. It's fucking Because when people are sleep deprived, like I thrive in that environment.
Oh,
That's
I
like,
do too.
That's like my
Gives me energy.
Yeah, it gives me energy, and then it's also one of my best comedic times because I know people are sucking, and I'm taking all of their energy out of the way that they suck.
Yeah, you're feeding on
and
it.
I'm feeding on them because it's called the vampire effect. So it's giving me more energy, and then I can really be like one of the single most funny people you've ever been around, in like times that really suck. I'm a real prick. Super fun for everybody.
Let's talk about you tumbling out of the airplane today.
I mean, which one of you are we going to talk about?
I had some great tumbles. I had some
I
great
don't
tumbles.
think mine was really a tumble.
What
was
would
like
you
a-
describe it
He
as?
did like a cartwheel.
Oh, it was
I
just
hit my hip.
rotating on multiple axes while out of control?
Technically.
Yeah, okay.
That sounds about right.
That's what I wanted to do. Every time that you were saying like, dude, you got to fucking, face
Well,
relative wind.
Evan
and like,
yesterday
I don't
goes-
want to do that.
Evan yesterday shows up with the optimal amount of time to be briefed on the drop zone and aircraft
10
before
minutes.
we get ready to go.
Upon arrival.
Upon arrival, I would say it was
Like, hey, what's up?
10,
Put on the chute,
10
get
minutes.
up there.
10 to 15 minutes
Yeah.
maximum. But in that was the wavering period. Thank you, Jim, for being able to just sit there and just like, doot, 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 doot. I think you were jocked up and said, "Oh, I've never gone out of a side door
I've never
before."
gone out of a side door.
I mean, it was like, I get the camera step.
Oh, nice. That was your first one? Then?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jim's sitting there like the professional. He's just like, oh, yeah, just do that. I'm like, shut up. You get in the back of the aircraft and you're going to run from, or just push off from the
fucking
back
push
and
off.
dive out at me. Trying hopefully that we're just going to just,
Did you do that? Did you run?
I sent him a picture of it. He presented his right side of his body to the relative wind.
As you do.
It was
I
good.
gave up on poise exits of all kinds. I gave up on those like around jump 6.
Really?
Yeah, because I sucked at them so bad coming off a back ramp. Like,
How is that possible? It's the easiest
Yo, dude,
exit to
I
do.
don't know, but I'm not, for whatever, I understand it.
What would
I
happen
get
when
it.
you did a poised exit?
It's just like, you're holding, you're like, okay, I got it. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, you just watch the
But
plane fly away.
It's way easier for me to just jump out, like forward, just jump to it. Just go to what you're doing. And it was way easier. Like, it was just like, I tried with poise, and it was like, like, just like, I felt like such a fucking retard every time. But then once I just like walk off the back ramp and just jump,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
fine.
You're
Or
hitting that
like
wind
do a
transfer.
fucking barrel roll or a flip or whatever. I'm like, okay, whatever. This slide that
Yeah.
they talk about, I'm like, I don't give a fuck about it at all. I'm just like, whatever, dude. Like, I'll get out of the plane and I'll be like, cool, maybe one of these days.
What did you think of a side door exit versus the ramp?
No difference.
Probably slower. I think the Otter goes slower than the Skyvan,
Yeah.
which makes it mushier, which is what causes people to
Yeah.
swim a little bit.
Well, I swam a little bit.
Everybody swims a little bit when they first start,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. Or they roll up the windows. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
The kick, what you were.
I did.
It was
I did
excellent.
some kicks.
Here's the
Got
thing,
some
like
kicks in
I
there.
can joke about all this. I guarantee you, I have done more than that than you guys ever will. I've kicked the living shit out of air. I've rolled up the windows many times. The slower the airspeed, the worse it gets.
Oh, well, out of that balloon,
Yeah, that's
I was
a zero.
deathly afraid of rolling up the windows. Like, deathly afraid. So I just did a cannonball off of it. Because
Yeah.
I was like, I ain't going to look stupid coming off this thing. 'Cause
How'd you like that balloon jump?
I loved it. It was awesome. It was like, the thing I hate about it, which balloons are ridiculous.
The theory of them, I mean?
Everything about a balloon is fucking ridiculous. Everything about a balloon is something I don't want to have ever at any point in time. Like, you're blowing fire into a tarp, and then you're sitting in a fruit basket and you're going up to elevation. As soon as I get to 1,500, I'm like, I'm great. I feel good about this. I don't give a fuck. Like,
What
I'm
if it was
great.
1,000?
Well, it's fine, 1,000. I don't care. All I know,
750?
all I know is like I fucking hate. I just wanted to get the fuck out of that balloon so badly. Like, it's like spewing fuel and like
Yeah, it drips down on you.
I'm like, what the fuck? You're blowing fire into something that
You've never done one of these, have you,
doesn't
Mike?
look
I
like
haven't,
you
but
should be.
Same thing about balloons. I don't like balloons.
I don't
It's
like
so
it.
weird.
Yeah.
But I like the jump. The jump is by far my favorite jump I've ever done.
Yeah.
Because it's quiet.
There's
and
no
it's-
relative wind.
And
It's
you
a
just
zero.
fall.
It's a.
Do you
it's a-
feel the sensation of falling?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
You'll get this.
Ooh.
You'll get the stomach rising in your
wow.
sensation.
And you feel like you feel it when you get to like
The acceleration.
the acceleration, you go from like it's like hitting the switch.
Yep.
And you can see it. We had a red camera below us, and when Logan hit terminal velocity or whatever you'd call it, his pants went like, and it blew out a bunch of dust out of him. It was wild, man. He was just like kind of flapping, and then as soon as he hit a certain speed, they went, and it just blew the dust out of all.
And the camera picked all that
Dude,
up?
it picked all of it out. It was fucking cool.
Logan
man.
seems to be addicted to it.
We call him Wind Slut because he likes to fill all his holes with all the wind. You know what I mean? Yeah,
slut.
he's like old Wind Slut, hot load.
He likes it. Some of the guys picked up on it.
Yeah, he
right?
loves it. Yeah,
Like I know JT was not having a good time because he was dealing with some injuries.
yeah, it's called.
Injuries and sounds like potentially mental weakness, but
I think a lot of it just had something to do with like fear. You know?
Yeah.
well,
Like, he had
first
a
off,
lot of fear.
So Evan and I, we went to dinner yesterday, and on the way there, he was describing to me, what would be the best way to talk about this, the way that the potential danger of skydiving was presented to the audience was very heavy on, these are all the things that will kill you. Maybe 99, it sounds like 99% of the instruction was, you're going to die doing this is certainly death, this is horrific, and maybe it's going to be okay.
I left the first couple days of instruction thinking that parachutes were only designed to wrap around an appendage and that you couldn't cut them away.
Yeah.
And that you're going to cut away into something that was already attached to your body, and you might as well just throw in the towel at this point. Yeah. I left there thinking, I need a third parachute. I left the training going, I need a third one because 2 is not enough, because evidently
everybody dies.
You have to tell
a horseshoe.
About the car ride conversation leaving.
We left there on day 1 or whenever it was after our first day of instruction, and all of us. So it's like me, Jericho, and Jericho's like, 20-year retired first sergeant, like Ranger Regiment the entire time, like countless fucking ops, super salty. And Jericho's in the passenger seat, Logan's in the back, and I think maybe Jared or somebody was with us. And Jericho's like, well, I'm terrified. How about you guys? And we were like, oh yeah, we're fucking scared out of our goddamn minds. Like, we don't even know.
We're all gonna die.
We don't want to do this anymore. It was like, we were all like, we do not want to do this. This is fucking dangerous. Yeah. Like, we walked into the, to pull our rental gear. I was telling Andy this story and the instructor, Matt, which, God bless him, he's a fucking super nice guy. He went on long tirades around like malfunctions, but then there are other things too, where we're getting our gear and he's like, hey guys, make sure that you inspect it because sabotage is a big deal on drop zones. Like, people will cut your...
We just have saboteurs running amok here.
Yeah, it was like...
So everybody's like paranoid.
So all of us are like, holy shit, really? Like,
they're
this
going to try
is
to
a thing?
test us?
Yeah, it's this fucking
Whoever dies
real? Like,
loses.
people are taking wire snippers to your shit, and you're like, and to her credit, my instructor, Sarah Curtis, she was like, Matt, that was like 40 years ago, and it was like one guy, but he was like talking about it like it was yesterday. Like, somebody came in with wire snips.
But was it serious or was it he joking?
No, he was dead serious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everything about the course was only built around, this is going to kill you, 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 this is going to kill you. Go have fun.
That's the military.
But also be careful of sabotage.
Yeah, and be careful. Like, so not only are these things designed to wrap around an appendage and then get hung up in the other reserve parachute, you also have to watch out for people like fucking sabotaging your shit. And you're like, holy shit, I don't know if I want to do this sport anymore.
So you exit the plane and you're getting close to pull time. What are you thinking as you're reaching back to deploy your main for the first time? Like, it's going to be a shark's jaw that's going to come get you, or
the only thing I can think of is
mache,
I have to get this as far away from my body as possible because this thing is built to wrap around my arm. I got to fucking throw this thing out. It's built to want to just go and just. This thing is like make it. And then I kept thinking about it. It's like, we need to make these things so they're built for parachuting, not for wrapping around appendages.
Did you like almost throw your labrum out, just rip it?
That's a military thing, right?
He was a military instructor.
Yeah.
He's a military instructor. So he taught
because I remember free fall. And Yuma's the same way. It's all based EPs and everything else. But when you go to civilian skydive, which is the problem, right? You go to military free fall, and it's all based on the things that kill you. You go, and then you're tight, you're stiff, and everything you waffle.
It's called being fucking terrified.
Yeah, you're a piece of plywood.
Because in the airplane on the ride up, you're like,
yeah,
I know what I'll do. What'll be confidence inspiring? I'll list alphabetically the ways this is going to kill me.
Yeah.
And then I'll just go back down the list. And then it comes time to exit. And the only thing you're thinking about is, I'm definitely going to die. I just don't know how. It's not the right way to teach people. Like, you can be aware of things that might go wrong, but let's look for things that could go right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the civilian side is different.
It's like
Yeah.
Here, we're going to
because
give
they're
you
paying
6
customers.
hours.
Yeah.
We're going to give you 6 hours of instruction. We're going to talk about every fucking thing under the sun that is going to kill you. Like, this is going to kill you, this is going to kill you, this is going to kill you. For 6 hours. And then they're like, okay, guys, let's get our stuff. Let's go have fun. And you're like, I don't think I want to.
Imagine having a malfunction on your first jump after that. So you have a data point of 1. 6 hours of like
and then
fucking
having
faces of death.
Yeah.
Jump number 1, you pitch and it's just a bag of shit overhead. And you're just there like, I knew it.
Dude,
I'm ready for you though.
the Jericho's like the single most fun human to be around in these situations, because he's fucking really dry. Like, his sense of humor is like dry. But then he's like, he'll be sitting there and he'll be like, the instructors are going through what they're going to do. And he's like, yeah, I'm getting a lot of body no's about not wanting to do this. My body's saying no, you know.
Body knows.
Getting a lot of body no's. Like, and but he'll do it. Like, he fucking hated it. So
Even after he did a few jumps, he
dude, like every day we would do like these check-ins with everybody. He's like, I fucking hate this. Like, the only reason I'm doing this is because I'm not going to be called a pussy. And I'm only doing this because he's like, well, one, you're like, we're paying for it. And two, like, I want to be able to like jump into hunts and do this stuff and other future content. He's like, I fucking hate this. Like, I'm so miserable. I'm so fucking stressed out. He's like, and I was like, yeah, that's supposed to be fun. But no, everybody was like stressed the fuck out. Like, everybody, uniformly, 100%, everybody's like, holy shit. But once he started jumping, like, there was a flexion point where it was like jump 6 or 7, I forget. I was like, oh, okay, I'm in Beret.
Yeah. Have you had a malfunction yet, Mike?
No, I don't believe so.
You probably would remember it.
Yeah, well, I've had some stuff under canopy, some weird stuff.
You ever had to chop a main though and get on your
No,
reserve?
I've never had a chop in the main. Almost, I came close to chopping a main because I had line twists really bad that I couldn't pull myself out of. And then I just dead hung, started building momentum and was able to pop it out. I did have a bad military free fall jump where my nods came off and hit me in the face, and then navved in the opposite direction. And then was hearing the commo and thought they were talking to me when they're talking to somebody else. It's like, click your heels. And I was like, okay, I got you. And he didn't have me.
They clearly weren't talking to you.
He wasn't talking to me.
Those are always the
It was
best.
bad. And so I landed, got knocked unconscious, or injured my neck. It was a bad jump.
Yeah, a lot of people are scared of their first cutaway until they have one. And it's a pretty emotional event, but then you realize, yeah, I'm going to be okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Almost every skydiving fatality occurs under perfectly functioning equipment, meaning the person flying the equipment makes a shitty decision, at least in the modern era. Like in the 70s when they were like, you got a sewing machine? I'm going to go ahead and try a new stitch on my leg strap and then you just blow out of your harnesses. Like, that was a different story, but the modern gear, the stuff you guys were jumping, you guys were both on the Rental Infinity rigs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or Velocity, or I don't know what they're officially is. They're fucking awesome, though.
Yeah.
Like, the odds of the rig itself malfunctioning has got to be almost zero. But a dual actual malfunction where you deploy your main, recognize that you need to get rid of it, cut it away properly, fire your reserve, and your reserve doesn't open. You'd like win the lottery, get struck by lightning twice, and eaten by a great white shark.
Yeah, I did the numbers on it. It was like 1 in 38 million or something like that. It was like fucking crazy. And then I was thinking about it because I was running the numbers on like if you're wearing a third. So, because I was like,
a belly reserve.
Yeah, so if you're wearing a belly reserve, because I was like, well, what would that be? It was 1 in like 7 billion. Like it's exponential factor of like fucking, it's crazy.
Wow.
Because
why
like
would
the
you
thing
run
we
a
were
belly
talking,
reserve?
well, no, I was talking about Andy, because I was like, I want
an
to
intentional cut. So by FAA regulation, you have to have 2 parachutes.
Oh.
So if you're going to do an intentional cutaway from a non-malfunctioning canopy, they still want you to have the ability to go to a main and then a reserve.
Why would you have to? Is that part of something?
Test jumpers will often do that, like when they're designing a new canopy.
Directorates.
Or, you know, Curtis will soak a canopy in gasoline and shoot a flare gun at it and let it burn above his head.
Wow.
because that's cool.
It is.
It's really cool. Actually.
It is amazing, but it's probably better off to have a reserve.
Curtis is the same guy that will fly into a one of those dust devils and ride them. Like he goes in and rides them.
That's not advisable for the ability to walk.
But that's like he's like another type of human. He's got a strange brain.
I haven't seen him in a long time, but back in like 2006, 7, he was working with us in the tunnel and was already probably the single most capable flyer that I'd ever been around. Add 15 more years to that.
Right.
Between they're unbelievable. The Curtis family, Steve and SERR are unbelievable.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's test jumping is one of the main reasons why. Yeah, you get a reserve ride. What changed it for me, what actually made me worry less about reserves opening, is when I started base jumping, because you only have one.
Yeah.
And you pack it almost identical. Like the actual sequence of laying the canopy down to pack it is how they start a reserve pack job. And you realize that these things are actually designed to open. They want to open, and you catastrophically have to fuck up packing to make it not actually open. The odds of 2 of those happening in a row on the same rig, almost 0.
Yeah.
So,
how many cutaways have you had?
6 or 7. I went over 3,000 jumps without having a single one, and then I was telling Evans, then 1 week I had 3. I think
1 week you had 3?
Yeah.
Was that because of
it's hard to
equipment?
say. It's hard. I mean, one of them was no, that was a different week. The last time I cut away, it was actually funny. Jim was on the drop zone watching me. I had done a wingsuit jump. Canopy was totally flying perfectly, but the lines were spun up.
Yeah.
And I was facing the back of my canopy flying towards the mountains. So I was flying towards ascending terrain under canopy, and I was like, I don't think I have time to actually get these out. Ka-tunk, and just cut it away. But that was because of a shit body position on opening, which creates a burble. And I've actually had a rear-facing camera on wingsuit jumps. And if you have the bag that the parachute goes into is a deployment bag, and there are a variety of different types.
AKA D-bag.
D-bag.
D-bags.
Some of them have rubber bands that you rubber band the lines into.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which, if you guys were watching me pack my parachute, I only have 2 rubber bands on mine, and then I just stow the lines into the bag. It's called a semi-stowless bag because there's 2 rubber bands. And the reason for that is the canopy I was jumping is designed for wingsuits, but I would jump with a rear-facing camera, and you flare wingsuits. So you have all the speed. You actually can pop up.
Right.
And you can pitch right at the apex, right as you come over the top, so you're going really slow. And in the camera, you'd see your pilot chute, pull on the bridle. It would pull the deployment bag out, and then the bag would start rotating as every one of the rubber bands would let go, and the rotation and oscillation would get worse. And then it's like... So you can create that, the semi-stowless bag. The bag comes straight off, and the lines just completely pay out. And it's just the last 2, and bloop, and the canopy comes open. So the week that I had multiple was probably a packing error on my part, or it could have been a little bit of wear and tear on the equipment, or more than likely it was a packing error.
What were they? What were the...
One of them was an extremely hung slider, which I would say was probably a tension knot of some kind. There was probably something that was up there. One of them was extreme line twists under a small sporting canopy, where it asymmetrically loaded the canopy, so it just starts into a dive. I'm on my back, orbiting around, looking straight up, and then, to the point where you're getting both hands to fire your reserve, and then it spits you off into space on your back. And you have to. It's actually more awesome than scary.
Yeah, because you got more
Because you're getting a ride.
velocity, more of a ride.
Yeah, you have this rotation that just spits you out when you
Clears the
yeah.
main.
Obviously, you need the appropriate altitude to do that. I don't remember what the third one was, but on average, it's one out of like every 888 jumps terminates in a reserve ride.
I like the way the San Diego skydive guys operate because I felt safe, but also there's a different atmosphere there where it's like laid back. And, you know, like you go to Skydive Arizona and everybody seems like they're high on marijuana or some kind of like drug because they're like hippie. But at Skydive Arizona, it's so different. It was like there was pros there. It seemed like
It's San Diego, you mean?
yeah. Sorry, Skydive San Diego.
I think every DZ has their own feel.
Yeah, like there's wingsuit guys. There's dudes doing formation jumps. And every time I've been to Skydive Arizona, it's like core, like hippie dudes who are just like in flip flops and, you know, just throwing their stuff on. It just seems a little bit more relaxed, or a little bit more not my culture. I don't know. San Diego was fun. It's just different.
Jeff has a good system going on there. A lot of his, if you look at the operation, like I was telling you guys, it's based around they don't own. They are the recipients of the Navy contract for the military freefall program.
Yep.
And the oversight for that is unbelievable. So he has a full, I think it's called TAC Air, but they have a full military training side, but they share the same aircraft, the same pilots. So they're probably a little bit more Swiss clockish, you know, kind of by the book.
They do AFFI there?
An AFFI is somebody who, that means you're an instructor, which means you can teach people to skydive. The people going through are going through AFF. So
okay.
That's what, there was a lot of the people you'll see, they do a tandem first. I have never understood why, I mean, I guess I do. People want to experience free fall absent any responsibility, and then they're like, okay, I want to learn how to do this. So they'll do a tandem, and then they go over and they start going through the AFF course. Did they do tandems with you guys
They
first?
had to, because it's a requirement now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So there you go.
have
To change from when I
tandem.
went through.
Yep.
I wonder why that is.
I have no idea. I think
You have to do a tandem for what?
to start
It's part of
AFF.
the AFF program.
It's part of the
Oh,
AFF.
You have to be tandemed.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
How would they do that?
They
Seems
changed
weird.
that. I don't know. I know that because I started AFF like 15 years ago or whenever, and that wasn't part of it.
It was not a
like-
requirement for me either. It was a
like-
choice, and it was actually one that they recommended, but it was not a requirement.
Yeah. Whereas like, I didn't do it the first time. I was like, no, this, like I've jumped out of planes. My first jump was out of a unassisted jump was out of a fucking Cessna 185 with a roll-up door in Boulder, Colorado, and the guy was just like, "Jump out, man! Like, you know, like you got your chute and just fucking." Because I was holding my chute and I was out on the strut.
You were holding your pilot chute on
so
the
it was-
strut.
Yeah, this is how pirate this thing was. So I got out on the strut and I was like holding on. He's like, "Just jump off and like, let go."
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to skydive Boulder.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was like 15 years ago.
Perhaps a loose and fast operation.
I walked in there that day. And I was like, "Hey, I want to learn how to skydive." And they're like, "Sick, man. You want to start right now?" And I was like, "Okay, I guess." So let's fucking go, man. Like, hey, check it out, man. We've been doing this for a long time. Like, dude, back in the day, like, we used to be doing like heavy fat lines of fucking coke around here. And you're just like, okay, cool. I guess this is how you learn how to skydive. I mean, fuck, I don't know.
It's the culture.
It's fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
Give me some blow.
I was still at a TSSCI, so I wasn't like doing any of that.
Yeah.
But I was like, I guess this is how it goes. And then you go to Longmont in Colorado, and they're like totally different. Like, places fucking running like a machine. But yeah, that was like my first jump. Was like,
Wow.
just climb on out, man. Have a good
Did you
time
get
with
your
it.
A?
Huh? No. I just
you
did a few jumps, and then
Yeah.
then I had to come back and obviously finish it.
Did your old man do a jump?
Yeah, I think he's up to like 5 tandems now.
Oh.
So I think my wife's gonna learn.
Like actually get her Class A?
I mean, maybe.
That's
Maybe
fun.
she met some hot dudes at the drop zone. I don't know.
Hey.
Like-
The tandem guys are cute.
I don't want to stand in the way of love. You know what I mean?
You can.
Like, I don't want to be some cock block. Like, that ain't me.
You wouldn't want to cock block your wife from another dude.
That ain't you, dog.
I don't want. I want to stand in the way for love. You know what I mean? Like, she's gonna get. She's got to get out there. Like, you know what I mean?
So why did you want to get back into jumping? Because you guys actually, BRCC did a very large
Push,
and I'm curious as to the reasoning behind it.
Well, I want to have a demo team, so I wanted to have a group of guys, all vets, that could jump into stadiums and, you know, races and shit like that. Because I had this idea, and what my idea was like have this branded. Originally, it was I'm going to buy a C-130. It's going to be Black Rifle Coffee branded. We'll be able to jump it. We'll be able to take it to air shows and do a bunch of other shit. Come to find out, C-130s are really expensive. I know that sounds crazy.
And break.
It's not the cost of the aircraft. It's the cost of the maintenance to the aircraft and then the availability of the parts. So I would have been fine with the cost and the maintenance. You can't rely on the availability of the parts.
Do they even make that airframe anymore? Or are they all legacy birds?
I do not know. So I know that what I was looking at was legacy.
Yeah.
And so I was gonna paint it woodland with like Black Rifle Coffee branding and be able to have a no shit jump team and then be able to use that as the corporate plane. Because I was looking at it, I was like, okay, corporate plane is a C-130, that fits Black Rifle. Let's fucking do that. So the genesis of this started like a year and some change ago, where I was like, I want to have a jump team so we can jump into stadiums and do stuff. And I don't like, I like being able to try to understand like what things, their subcultures and communities. And I like to be able to figure out like, okay, how do you, you know, correctly engage in this sport without having an inauthentic engagement. So we had been in the wind tunnel, like doing wind tunnel stuff for quite a while, just like fucking around. I was like, well,
in Salt Lake,
let's
or
go
up in Ogden.
Yeah, like Ogden and San Antonio. And I was like, guys, like we got to do it. Like, we just got to do it. You guys are like, enough's enough. Like, we got to go get our license. Everybody's like, fuck yeah, that's awesome. So then that's when the GBRS guys were like, well, we can put on the course for you. We're like, great. We'll just take everybody with them. And but the big thing is with Clint trial, because he was injured 3 years ago now, but there's like a huge part of his life before he was injured, and getting him back in the sport.
Was he injured jumping?
No, he stepped on a fucking mine in Afghanistan while he was at the office, but he hasn't jumped since the injury. But it's a huge part of his life. He started jumping skydiving with his dad when he was a teenager, and then went on to the military and did a bunch of jumping. But he was still like, the base of it, the premise was all enjoyment and recreation. He hasn't done it for 3 years since he was, you know, modified by war. And now getting him back into it was a big thing, because guys like John Blank, Clint Trial, and some of the other dudes that we know, like, we want to do it, you know, with our buddies. We want to be able to take everybody. And I knew if we all went and I told Clint that he had to go, I made it mandatory, like, I knew I could fucking get him up into the plane. And sure as shit, like, got him in the tunnel. He called his buddies from his old unit. They all came out and fucking jumped with him, man.
That's awesome.
Like, it was one of the best moments of my life. Like, just being able to see Clint get back up there and like jump, because it is so important to him. It is so important to his friends, because they used to jump together all the time. That was a big part of what they would do to recreate, even outside of the unit stuff. So,
did he jump his prosthetics?
No,
just nothing.
Yeah, and he was fucking stable and like,
yeah.
But when he first got in the tunnel a few months ago, like, he was like, fuck, I don't know, because he's missing, you know, a huge percentage of way he stabilizes himself. But after a while, man, he learned how to get it done, and, you know, a few hours in the wind tunnel, that'll like clear it up. And then he flew awesome.
Does somebody just like pick him up and throw him out, or how does he get out?
Yeah. That was like,
I was just thinking, I was like, maybe I should call Clint and ask him that question. Like,
no, that's what they did.
They just hucked him.
No, they two of his buddies, one on one side, one on the other. They just fucking came out all three.
I didn't know of a not fucked up way to ask that question, so I was just going to ask it.
There's no way. But if Clint was here and said, "Did they huck you under the plane?" How'd this work?
Yeah, they just hucked him out. It was like him and his two buddies. So now, that's the other thing. It's like the guys that have been, like legitimately injured. I think this is just the case for everybody, which is the veteran community in general. Like they need to go unsolicited advice from a veteran, but they need to go out and try new shit and push themselves to do more difficult things. They have to push themselves physically and psychologically. They have to go out and find different subcultures and communities where they can be immersed into a tribe, and it will help them psychologically. So a huge percentage of what I do and why we do it is we're just kind of a bunch of idiots and we like to go out and do fun stuff. But it's really to tell people, like, go out and do it. Like, give yourself a license to go have fun and not just, like, lament over, Sangan Valley or whatever it was. Like, don't go find something new to do. Like, go do other shit. And that's why I think it's really important for us because, with the company, it's got 1,000 employees now, 1,050, something like that. And 50% are veteran, give or take, veteran family members. Like there's a responsibility there to go out and tell people, like, you have a license, go have fun. Like especially if you've been modified by war, if you've been injured, like it's okay. Like keep fucking pushing. And then the other piece to that is, like, that's why we do a ton of that stuff where it's like the veteran adaptive athlete shoot or whatever it might be, is like, these guys haven't changed. They're still our fucking bros. Like, so we have to figure out ways that we can have social, semi-physical events that aren't excluding people from our activities. So I'm constantly trying to figure out, like, okay, so how do we turn people into archery, right? Especially the guys that are in chairs, because they can shoot from a chair easily. They have a stable shooting platform. They can go to the fucking Olympics. Yeah. Stuff like that, where it's like, give them another option versus a lot of guys struggle to figure out what their options are, right?
If you don't give yourself a license to go out and have fun, what's the fucking point of the investment that we made in the time and effort?
A lot of guys down the vine that way. They just don't want to do shit. They think it's like, I see a lot of guys who are veterans, especially soft veterans, who like think that was their peak. And they're like, well, I'm never getting those glory days back. It's like, dude,
how do you get stuck there though? Like, how does that end up being the headspace?
It's interesting. I mean, part of it is being complacent and lazy. And then also falling in love with the idea of who you were as it defined you, and not realizing that other things outside of that are going to redefine you. Like I've admitted recently about being a dad, and which has been my role for 3 years. Nothing compares to that. I would have hated to be in you guys' position deploying to war with kids.
Not me. I was out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, you see guys like.
It changes your headspace for sure.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
It changed mine. I can't speak for anybody else. Yeah.
So now that I have kids, I'm like, well, I was a Green Beret. I was an agency guy and I had a good time doing that. But now, like, I'm a father. And then I'm an entrepreneur. And so these roles define me and my actions and my daily routines. But that brings me profound purpose. A lot of guys just are missing the purpose. They don't want to get outside and, we talk about operate the outdoors. They don't want to fucking operate anymore. It's like you could operate doing anything in your life. Like you flew planes, like you wingsuit flown. There's so much more to do in life, and guys think, well, I was that Force Recon dude, and I was badass, and I'll never be that again, so whatever. And then they sulk over it for 20, 30, 40 years until it's too late. It's unfortunate.
It is. I think a lot of guys, I've been very fortunate, right? So for me, I've had an easier road in that because
so easy.
Yeah, so easy. No, I found a group of guys that I could work with and go to work. Like I've been in a team room my entire fucking life.
Yeah.
Like I've never been alone. So I don't have any, I would say, like, psychological dexterity with being alone. I don't fucking know what it's like. I literally left the clowns and started this company, and then I was kind of on my own, but really it was like me and my buddies.
Yeah, the core group of friends.
Yeah. So I don't know what it's like. And I think for me, I try not to be as, I don't judge as much when it comes to that, because I really don't know. Like I've had a lot of challenges, don't get me wrong. Like it's been difficult, but I've never been alone. Like I could always pick up the phone and call my buddy, who's also my business partner, and fucking talk to him about something that was going on in my life. Like something's going on with business, something that's going on. I've never had to like live inside here and be completely isolated alone. I don't know what the fuck that feels like.
It's not awesome. So I went, I was double dipping in working for CrossFit on the weekends from like late 2006 all the way up to I think 2014. Mm-hmm. I got out in 13, so I stopped double dipping, whatever people would want to describe it as. So I had a transition out of the military, and I was established and already working with a smaller crew on the business side of the house for CrossFit, doing sponsorships and licensing deals. But then after leaving that, I was kind of like a foot in the bucket of doing charter flying, like Part 135 corporate chart. Like if your phone rang, you'd go fly, and if it didn't, you're like, fuck, I don't know what I'm gonna do for a paycheck this week. Right. And then I started jumping. But the jumping, it's largely an individual team activity. Like you go jump with people a little bit, but then you're a lot of time by yourself.
Right.
And I lived in San Diego, but I've never actually maintained, ever since getting out of the military, I have not maintained a very close relationship with a lot of guys that I served with, which at first irked me. I couldn't figure out why, but then I realized it's kind of normal. You move on and you can kind of continue on in your life. But the headspace is one of fucking self-doubt, because I was like, fuck, what am I going to do? I had 3 kids. I had a wife at the time. You got all the normal shit, mortgage, car payment, diapers, literally at that point. Like, what am I going to do? It's a lonely headspace. A lot of time spent staring at the ceiling at night. But I also suspect you probably had those same, maybe different thoughts. But that same, I mean, like the stress, I think, is probably the same, but it's different. The isolation is when you only have you. Like, I'm not going to be a professional skydiver now. It's like there's no. I mean, obviously Red Bull has a team, but for me, it was like, I'm going to try to do this on my own, and I have to rely only on myself.
Right.
Not the easiest, for sure. And I can see why people would want to give up, I guess. I don't know. And I think that's where our background probably comes into play, where it's like adversity becomes a motivation as opposed to an obstacle. I would certainly say that that's an advantage, but not the easiest.
Yeah, and I think that's where, like I said, I've been fortunate, because like there hasn't been a time in there was a small window of time when I left the agency and then really started kind of pulling Jared and those guys into the business. But even then, like I was friends with Matt and Jared before I left the agency, so they were already my friends. So I've always had a group of guys that were directly connected that I could call and I trusted emphatically with anything, that regardless, like you can tell them what you're thinking or what you're feeling, or what when you have self-doubt. And most of the time it's like, well, suck it up, pussy. Like, but sometimes that's all you need.
That's generally the appropriate answer.
Yeah, it's like that's all you need. Like somebody where you're like, oh, what the fuck, and they're like, are you like, do you have too much estrogen? Like, what? Are you drunk? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, why are you calling me and fucking telling me this? Like, shut up. You know, like, go to work. Stop being a fucking pussy. I don't know.
I like that.
What's your thing?
When I had a transitional period post agency in 2015, 16, I left the country, and same deal. I was like, I'm going to be the lone wolf. I'm going to get the house on the hill next to BLM. Bureau of Land Management, and not that. And I was like, man, that's the life I want, like off grid, and it did not go very well. I mean,
was it the isolation that fucked with you?
Yeah, it was, because I was like, well, my team guys, I don't talk to team guys, I don't talk to agency guys, because they're doing their job, and they're busy working and operating. And I was like, well, it's obvious for me, I need to recluse and just be alone and kind of do my thing. And then it was not healthy. I mean, it was just like, what am I doing? And then I started socializing and realized, oh man, there's something with this. I'm collaborating with people. I'm partnering with people. I'm making friendships. And I thrived in a team environment, but I did like my individual singleton kind of life. But that's not how we're programmed, I don't think. I mean, we're programmed to run, manage, and operate in teams. And that camaraderie takes us a long time, or takes us a long way. And so when I kind of came out of the wood line, I was like, oh, I need this. So even building Fieldcraft, it was the same thing in building Black Rifle, which was I'm building something that felt like my operational life, like the team room,
right,
with my friends doing rad shit.
Yeah.
And this is what we are. That's the model for us. We were all doing the same thing in different ways, which is we wouldn't be here doing rad shit in San Diego if we didn't want to be tied to that. And I think that's the healthiest way to thrive. And a lot of people are being recluses, listening to this podcast in their basements because they think that's the path. It's not, man. It's like get some sunshine, get outside, talk to people, build relationships, and then you realize, man, that's making me happy. And it's weird because I feel guilty saying that because I like the idea of being a lone wolf.
Yeah.
I could operate as a lone wolf, I have, but I also understand that to be resilient, to thrive, you need a community.
Yeah.
You need brothers, you need guys that you could trust.
Do both of you have a social circle completely detached from your military friends? Like separate from just the people that you work with?
Not really.
How about you?
I don't, like, none of the guys, no. So I don't have it. Like, people who know me, or who are closest to me, you guys know, I don't really have any friends. You guys are my friends. So I don't like go home and hang out with people because I spend a lot of time with guys that I like John Park, a South Korean Navy SEAL. You know, like,
did you say you spend a lot of time with people you don't like, or like? Because that sounded like you don't like, and then you referenced him. Just
and
I kind of like him.
And he pointed.
yeah, and he pointed.
Kinda,
I spend a lot of time with people I don't like John. I was like, geez, man.
He's right there. He's in the room,
right here,
listening to
so
audio.
weird
He's
flex.
not on the
hear my
camera.
voice.
Doesn't mean he can't hear you.
Yeah, I think I'm fulfilled in that way, and when I am not around friends, like here, I'm at home with my kids by myself, like, just doing my own thing, and I don't need that social circle that's different. I've tried the civilian circle of friends outside of the understanding of military, and it just don't work, man. Mm-mm. I mean, they think you're a psychopath because you've been to war, or they think,
well, maybe we are.
Maybe we are.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a little bit different because
I do have a social circle outside of it. I actually think
jiu-jitsu, right?
That's exactly what I was thinking, and I actually find it to be incredibly healthy because if you get a bunch of guys with our background, and I would find this when I was still active, I only hung out outside of work with the people that I worked with.
Right.
So of course, the only fucking thing we talked about was
teams.
work. So it was a work balance, not a work-life balance.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah, you guys are obviously some of my closest friends, but I have found it to be almost like a breath, not a breath of fresh air. I don't know what it would be. It's nice to be able to go and just be invisible in a group of other people that have no attachment to that world. And jiu-jitsu might be a good example. There's a very tight community bond with it because it's just a huge level of trust with your training partners. I'm sure you could find it elsewhere, but I actually recommend, I was having this conversation with some law enforcement officers up in the Valley, and a law enforcement officer said to me, he's like, I have got to get some new friends outside of the job because all I do is talk about the job when I'm on the job, and then all we're doing is having campfires and talking about shit that we did on the job, and I need...
It's not healthy.
Right.
It's not... I don't think it is healthy. I think there has to be that balance, and maybe they are right, that we're a little bit... maybe we are psychos because we went down the path that we did, but let me just tell you who they're going to want to be around when shit goes south.
Yes. But do dudes act weird around you, like civilian guys? I've always seen that.
Think
like
so.
Civilian guys have acted weird around me.
That's because you're Asian. That's
part,
not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Nailed
it's
it.
likely they're like
that's
"This
the
dude's
biggest Asian dude I've ever
He's
seen
a
in my
fucking
life.
big Asian, and he's like he likes Asian food, and
Yeah.
he's like Asian cultured. Like,
Right.
what's up, man?
Is the
It's
correct
weird.
way for you to say it though? You just like food?
No, Oriental food is the best way.
Yeah, it is.
Like Oriental
That's my favorite
Yeah.
ramen.
Are you from the Orient?
That's my favorite. That's
Oriental
my favorite
ramen?
ramen.
Oriental?
That's actually if I invite you over for dinner, I'll make you that.
Oriental ramen.
Yeah, so you guys can feel at home.
Soy sauce on noodles on spaghetti.
Yeah.
is not ramen.
That's but I think I want to be,
Is that ramen?
culturally sensitive to you and John when you guys come over to my house.
Yeah.
Rice
Rice-a-roni is not rice.
Spaghetti noodles
for
with some
Asians.
black sauce that I actually
Yeah.
don't even know if it is soy sauce, and I'll just I
Black
think
sauce.
That's great.
Oh, now we're talking about black sauce, huh?
Well, the sauce is the color black.
Oh, now it's got. Why has it got to be?
We went.
Yeah,
No, the social circle thing I think is huge, and I do think that to a degree our background is inescapable, and I think that's
Yeah.
okay. At some point, you have to come to peace with that, and maybe people will be weirded out by it, or maybe they'll have some unrealistic expectation. But what I have found is, the more time they spend around you, the more time they realize that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you can move past it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I found that most people, once they find out, they want to talk about it. They're like, "Oh, what was that like?" They're just genuinely curious about. Like, I brought my daughter across the street the other night. We were playing in the neighbor's yard. They've got this epic yard. And we were talking, shooting the shit with the neighbor. And she was like, "What would you do before?" I was like, "Well, I was at Green Beret." And she's like, "Whoa." I was like, it's not that cool, but hey, she's like, "Yeah, oh my gosh, like I think this is like, it's like the first one I've ever met." And I'm just like, feel kind of special. Like, oh, wow.
Well, you're
cool.
Special Forces.
Yeah, special force. And
Why'd you say it like
John
that?
said that.
John said that. Then he dubbed that just
dubbed.
now.
And they want to talk about it. They want to know.
Genuine
and,
curiosity.
I think most of the time when I tell people about it from my experience or from my perspective, what I'm doing is I'm actually setting the record straight, because there's so many people that are fake. There's more Green Berets talking about being Green Berets out there right now that were never Green Berets. There's more Navy SEALs talking about being Navy SEAls out there to other people representing them as Navy SEAls than there are actual Navy SEAls.
I've met all 3,000 of the SEALs that said they served in Vietnam.
Right.
Even though there was like 30.
It's like, you're 38 years old. How could that have happened?
Bud's class 14, Charlie Alpha, Bravo.
I can't tell you it's secret. I've heard that one too. I can't tell you that's secret. But that's what I think it is my responsibility to engage with people around what it was like. And I always preface that with like, I was at the CIA too. Because I also know that there's a bunch of people that are like, I was a fucking secret squirrel, or I was doing this and I can't really tell you. Because people are they're just lying about doing shit all the time. Where I'm like, hey, it's a job. You go through a selection process. You do it. It's interesting. It's fun. It was, absolutely like something I wanted to do. But you're not sitting there going like, well, I mean, once you have the bloodlust, you can't get rid of it. Or it's just like douchey stuff that people talk about.
That doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
It's not
like
even
it's like
fucking
I'm
real.
a normal, like we're just fucking. I wouldn't say normal, but
Number
like
one red flag is when people are like, I can't tell you about it.
I
But
can't tell
honestly,
you,
to me, when I will hear stories, I'm probably hearing them like 8th or 9th hand, so I understand there's dilution. But I'll hear it. How do I talk about this gently? Because I have to have this conversation with this guy in the Kalispell. There are people out there who talk in grandiose terms and like, I can't really tell you where I'm going. And it's like,
tell you about that.
And it's like, hey man,
if you can't tell somebody where you're going, you can't tell them that you can't tell them where you're going. Just so everybody's like listens
just
to
like
this,
number
like just
one
set
red
it.
flag,
Red
is
flag.
when people start saying to you, "Oh, I wish I could tell you," but it's like, we all had TSSCI clearances. All of the programs that I was ever read into, I won't tell people how to find them on Google, but they're all there.
They're all there,
and none of them really blew my hair back. I'm like, I actually saw that in a movie one time. I didn't know that that's what I was seeing in the movie, but like all this, people are like, oh, you probably can't. can't talk about where you went, what you did. I'm like, oh, no, I absolutely could, but it's so fucking boring. I'm not going to waste your time or mine.
Like,
you know what I mean? Like, no, like I'm not walking around with like a suitcase nuke. And I never would, because obviously that fucking thing is going to go off as soon as you arm it. I had thought myself through that one.
Pretty badass.
What, as you glow? And
The fucking suit.
Did you ever hear about those things? The Sodoms, the man-portable nukes?
Yeah, of
And
course.
they'd be like, it's going to be on a 30-minute timer. It's like, fuck you, it is.
Yeah,
you're going to let me leave a nuclear device for 30 minutes?
Jump it into Europe. Yeah, I remember
It's going to be like arm flash.
Yeah,
That's all.
It's like, yeah, don't worry, it's on a 30-minute delay. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll be fine.
Cool, because
with
let me
that.
see here, my 1 mile run time. Oh, yeah, I'm still fucked.
Yeah, I'm still fucked.
That's seriously, though, the number of times people will, and you guys probably get this, oh, hey, I've got a cousin or a friend of mine.
My favorite, I told you this yesterday, my favorite is when I'm talking to a parent and they're like, yeah, my son's a special operations guy. He's a SEAL Delta Force commando guy. I'm like, oh, cool. Where's he at? Fort Hood. I'm like, yeah, your son's a liar. Just so you know, he's a fucking liar. Sorry.
True story.
Maybe trade him in, you know? Maybe you should have fucking kept him on breast milk a little bit longer. I don't fucking know, but something's going on with that kid. You know what I mean? It's like my favorite thing.
It happens all the time, too.
Yeah, it's just like popping.
you imagine
it's like
living
popping
that
their
life?
balloon.
Oof. There's dudes living that lie hardcore every single day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I just heard one.
I love hearing those stories. Like
They're so fun.
they are fun.
They're so disconnected from them, though, because there was a guy I heard one time who's in his hometown. Everybody in the hometown thought he was a special operations guy, and he was milking that. The whole town was milking it. And somebody had contacted me and said, hey, I want to do a podcast on this guy. He seems legit, but can you just look into him? Like, absolutely. I just Googled his name and was like, this dude's a fucking liar. And he had been scamming the whole town. But then the dilemma was, how do you handle that? So here's what's weird about this, because I didn't know how to handle it. He was mentoring kids at as a coach, right? Like as a coach. And I'm like, what do I say? Do I just ruin kids' lives? Because I'm like, this dude is a liar and everything he's saying is a lie. And the guy we had a phone call. And
With the guy?
With the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, where'd you go to? He was talking, and he didn't know who I was.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, you know, special operations this, special operations that, you know, free fall. I was like, oh, that's really cool, man. One of my cousins is a free fall guy. Where'd you go to free fall school at? And he was like, oh, Fort Bragg, you know. I'm like,
cool.
I don't think yet.
I mean, that's where the old wind tunnel used to be.
That's the wind tunnel. You did first week there. I was like, did you jump? Like you jumped at Bragg? He's like, oh, yeah. That's I can't talk too much about it, but yeah. I was like,
oh, that classified free fall course.
Dude,
yeah,
brutal.
It's a good one. That's the best one.
It was so it like hurt me because I did and it's not like me because usually I'm like I'll call a motherfucker out, like I just don't have a filter. But what I thought about was the kids, and I thought if I just say something, this dude's gonna kill himself in front of a whole bunch of kids, like something dramatic.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want nothing to do with this. I told the woman, I said, listen, he's not real. He's actually a really hardcore fake. In fact, because he was disabled. He had lost a leg.
To like diabetes or something.
No. He legitimately was blown the fuck up in Iraq.
Oh,
so legitimate.
So he had served, but he changed the narrative on.
He did
his service.
So legitimate dude. And when you Google his name, it has his Purple Heart right up.
Oh, right.
And so he was in combat arms, like the infantry or 19 Delta or something like that. Legitimately got blown up. I'm like, dude, that's good enough. Like you served, you got blown up.
Yeah.
You just like do that. And he had to go the extra additional step. And so I didn't want nothing to do with it. I said, listen, I'm not going to, like, what should I do? I'm like, you do you. I don't want any involvement in this. Because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do morally or ethically to burn this dude down.
Right.
And I don't have fucking time.
Well, I think, like when you're telling me this story, what I think you should have done was like fly out there.
I was actually thinking exactly the same thing.
Invite all the kids to like a high school gymnasium.
Yeah.
And then present him a ward, and while you're presenting it, just read through all the fake shit that he's done and be like, the kids, this this person is a liar.
Yes.
And this is what it looks like.
There is a life lesson in that.
And
That would have gone down perfect.
and given him like some kind of trophy.
Yeah.
You
You
know,
could have
they're
done
like,
that for
"Here."
me as the double.
Right.
You could have doubled.
I
as
also
me.
would have volunteered my services for this.
That's it.
I would have gotten just a...
What would you have guys have done? Would you guys have just called them out?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I actually don't even care anymore. When
I don't
say
care
that,
either,
like,
yeah.
I'll talk to guys, and if they're fucking lying to my face, I'll just be like, "Oh, you're full of shit."
Yeah.
Like, "Oh, so you're just full of shit." And it's
If
happened.
I see people who are like manipulating organizations
Yeah.
and are getting money from them, I will say something.
Yeah.
If they're manipulating other people for their favor and like getting free shit, like I don't know exactly where that tipping point is for me, but if it's egregious, I will say something about it.
Yeah.
But other than that, you also have to pick and choose your battles.
I don't have the energy or the time frame for it. So I'm just like, "Oh, you're full of shit," and typically just roll out. Most people won't say those things anymore. Like, it used to happen more, but now they're like, "Oh, well."
People are getting savvy.
Well, they know who I am, right? And that's not some kind of weird flex. They're just like, "Oh, well," they're not going to lie to me because they're going to be like, "Oh, well, you were able to smell this out." But where I get it is like, their family members or their friends.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a constant stream. Well, my cousin or my friend or my coworker or this guy that I'm connected with, and he's like, he was a Green Beret or he was a Navy SEAL. I think you guys get it way more, which is like, you get all the guys that are like, I was a Navy SEAL. I had a car or a guy that I bought a car from, like, I don't know, 7 years ago or something like that. And I was buying, he's like, "Oh, you're a Green Beret, like Fred over here is a Navy SEAL." And I like walked over there. I was like, "Oh, so what team are you in?" or whatever. It's like, 20. It's pretty sick.
I had a guy tell me.
It's like 20, SEAL Team 20 or whatever.
I had a guy tell me one time.
20?
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't even close.
It was a ridiculous number. I had a guy tell me not too long ago. He was like, "Yeah, I was with Team 3 in Vietnam." I was like,
sick.
"Okay." I mean,
Yeah.
mind you, they were commissioned in the 80s.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's like, okay, man.
How'd you handle that?
I asked him what Bud's class he was in, and he said 76. He said the Bud's class in 1976. And I said, "Which number was it?" He goes, "The one in 1976.
Oh.
And I would put him at my snapshot assessment at the lower functioning end of the spectrum.
Right.
And just moved on with my life. I was like,
Right.
Cool story. Thank you for your service, which to me is just an underhanded insult to
that.
him.
Yeah.
And then
Thank
just
you for your
continue on my
service.
day. Yeah.
This was in Montana?
Yeah.
Ouch.
I like the guys, like, I've run into a few guys with like stickers, like Trident stickers on their truck. And
The bigger the better.
Like, it's awesome. So but I'll like say hi or whatever. Like, "Hey man, what team you're on?" I like these guys. The new one, the new narrative I've caught a few times. I think Jericho and I were talking about it too. Is like, "Oh, I wasn't a team guy. I just support them. I just support them." I'm like, by putting a fucking Trident on the back of your truck? Yeah. I support the guys. I want to support the guys. So I was thinking about it as like we were
So
talking
can I
about,
start wearing a green beret because I support you guys?
yeah, exactly. That's
can
where
do
it was
that.
like, Jericho and I were joking about this the other day. We were talking about how we want to shoot this skit where it's like this guy pulls into Applebee's, right? Where he's got like a whole like a Trident and a fucking Tower of Power and the whole thing, right? Across the entire back window. And he's like steps out wearing a Medal of Honor. And he goes in and sits at Applebee's, and the guy's, "Oh my gosh, like, thank you so much," gives him a meal, and like Dakota Meyer's like on the other side and like buys him a meal or whatever, and some guy comes up to him and is like, "Oh my God, thank you for all you've done." It's like Medal of Honor. He's like, "Oh, I don't have it. I just wear it to support the guys."
Why haven't we shot this already?
Hey, right?
Dakota would be down to play that
he
role.
would
Dakota
do
would
that.
love it. Oh, I don't have a Medal of Honor. I just wear it to support the guys. It's like he's got like all a bunch of free drinks and free
Fuck,
food.
that's an interesting
It's like
end around, though.
Parks and handicap and the handicap
People
line.
saying that. It's an interesting end
It
around.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what they want is for people to make the assumption and not
Right.
ask the question.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it.
Who's the dude who shot Bin Laden? The
Rob
guy?
O'Neill.
Rob O'Neill.
Well-
What's your relationship with him? You guys are buddies with him?
He's been on the podcast a couple
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Like Rob, but there was the other guy too. Who's the other guy?
Mark.
Mark
Can we say his real
Owen?
name? Owen.
Owen is his nom de guerre.
I don't
Yeah.
know what his regular name.
I'll tell you off air because I don't know how he
Yeah, I don't-
how he rolls with that. He wrote a book also though, No Easy Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which got that's the
Was
one
he
that
on
got
your
all the money.
podcast?
No, he was on Jack Carr's.
Oh, he was.
Who, to put a bow on it, if we see him as a pedophile in 5 years, we won't be surprised.
Yeah. They're buddies, suppose. They're friends.
Yes, close friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
the
think they
writing
went to
thing.
the same Buds class,
yeah.
actually.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
or nearby.
Got it.
Yeah, near.
Yeah.
Let's just say there may be contention
Right.
between who shot who.
Right.
Interesting. Between the two of those guys.
Beyond that.
Right. I've heard that.
That's as gently as I can. I wasn't there.
See, I've when you kill a bad guy with a buddy, it's not about who broke the first round because you're each putting rounds in the bad guy, and you would call that a coffin kill. So if me and Evan were walking down a hallway and a dude poked his head out, we both plugged him. It didn't matter who shot first. That is not a unilateral kill.
Right.
That is a coffin kill. His coffin kill, my coffin kill. So
What the fuck does a coffin kill mean?
coffin kill means that somebody shot and killed him in support of it, so you can't claim it as your kill. So you can't chalk that up as a unilateral kill. So if an entire assault force lights up a dude trying to escape with an S vest on, and you just all plug him, then that's not like, yeah, that's my dude. That like I whacked that guy. It's a coffin kill because like everybody shot. Nobody knows who started it.
I've never heard that term.
I would shoot a lot at things that I wasn't exactly sure what they were, just so I could take credit for it.
Yeah.
And then also take away their credit.
Yeah.
Like,
So you're like, no. Yeah. You're like, ga. That's my kill.
Ga. It's like there's nothing in there. But if you're gonna shoot, I'm gonna shoot. That's the way it's
Coffin
gonna
kill.
go. It's like you're in a room next to me, man. This is
Did you
fucking
guys
weird.
actually keep track of that? Like, did you ever encounter people who were very seriously tied to their number?
We did statistically for a couple task force rotations because we were keeping stats as
The efficacy of the targets.
a measure of exactly. Was the correlation or fidelity good? How many were like we were keeping tabs with everybody else in the task force, but we were doing it individually too. Like I still have the spreadsheet. We had a guy, his name is Jason, who was doing
Jason Bourne.
close.
Yeah.
That's close.
Bornay.
Close.
Bourne.
Yeah.
That's actually it. So he kept stats on everybody by weapon system they killed the bad guy with, the objective number, like all this. It was actually really cool as a data thing to go.
That is cool.
Oh shit!
What did
You can be like,
what did they do with it though?
we used it team internally or troop internally to assess the capability of the troop, and then what I like about it is it's because it's like, hey, if a troop kills 150 dudes in a 4-month rotation, how many of those dudes were casts and how many of them were small arms fire?
Yeah.
And then what does that show as a level of the current capability of the enemy? Like, because if we're not killing them because of casts, maybe they're getting smarter because they're staying contained or they're going to their palm groves. So a lot of it it was trending and trying to get more atmospherics on what the bad guys were doing. But it was super interesting. And so I started keeping personal tabs, which are still murky because there's a lot of situations like where you're, 3 dudes online and you're whacking a dude and you're like, who killed that dude? Or you throw a grenade and you're like, where did that blow up? And you don't have enough time to like analyze ISR to get whose kill was that or how did that happen, which is kind of the detriment of fast-paced ops in that period of time. But I think about the Bin Laden hit, and I can imagine you're under nods, you're moving to achieve a jackpot. And you got a few assaulters. Dude pokes his head out, and it's you're trying to just smash the dude. Like, who's going to be like, I broke that round first. That was my kill. It's like, what? Like, I'm not even thinking about. Like, we just smashed this dude. We just plugged this dude in the face as we rolled up on him, and it's Bin Laden. I'm not thinking about that. So it's kind of weird that there's this debate between that. One of our...
It's detrimental to the community, I think.
Yes,
it was
for sure.
Made the issue that it was made and that there are conflicting narratives. Again, I wasn't there. I happen to be friends with some people that were. And the broadest way that I'm willing to say it is that there is dispute as to the authenticity of any narrative that is in the public view.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I feel like you should be able to work that out on the couch and be like, hey, so where are you at and Oh, so that was like I heard your shot ring.
Yeah.
Before mine.
There's no dispute, from my understanding, internally. The dispute is more about what has been put into the public record.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I could see.
There's a small group of people that were actually on the ground. I don't think there's any confusion about what actually happened.
Yeah.
I think that the fact that there are competing narratives that were very highly elevated is more the issue.
Are you going to write a book?
I don't know, man.
Fucking author Mike, dude. He's
Like
been hitting me up too.
You're gonna write one. I mean, I want to write. What I want to write is a business book because, I've talked to enough people now where, like Cole. I was talking to Cole, and he was like, "Yeah, man, you showed us all this shit was possible, and you never fucking told us how to do it." And it resonated with me because I was like, well. Yeah, because I'm still learning how to do it. I'm not. Yeah. It's not as if I've evolved into some fucking, business savant. It's just no. You're still learning how to do it, but there's 8 years of lessons learned, and I think I do owe it from the veteran community perspective to at least release a lessons learned, which is this is how I've transitioned, like transitioning, and then moving into. Business and entrepreneurship, and then, raising kids. The thing about it is there's so many people out there that want to beat their chest about how fucking cool they are. And I'm like,
well, obviously the cover of your book is you in your fucking dress blues with your green beret.
Badass. Yeah.
My life is a
businessman.
fucking
business.
But mostly just your uniform.
Business command. It's half green beret, half fucking.
Oh, yes.
Cut it in half, right?
That's creative.
The other half is a suit.
I don't know, man. I do owe it at least from a business perspective, or at least from hey guys, I'm a fucking dumb fuck, and if I think about the world in a very certain and specific way, and the thing that I'm most proud of is not okay, this is how much the company's worth, or whatever it might be. The things those are those are not happenstance. It's the way that you prioritize your level of effort and what you go to work on every day. But really what I go to work on every day it's different in the context of, I wrote my mission statement, which was to transition out of military service and live a happy and fulfilling life, because I wanted to be able to connect in and love my kids and have full value relationships and not be completely emotionally turned off from the world and, be a fucking sociopath, because I was so emotionally, I think, unavailable that I couldn't function very well. So what I've learned in the last 8 years, and my highlighted moments are not about business. They're what business has been able to do for me. My proudest moments in this business have literally fucking nothing to do with business. They don't even rank, pressing the button in the New York Stock Exchange doesn't rank above my daughters, playing with, a group of guys that, have lost their legs and wrapping their arms around their legs and sitting on their laps as they're fucking, cruising around, because they think of them no different as anyone else. Right. So to me, the business has afforded me to do things like that, where my kids are fully integrated and immersed into the subculture, and we've been able to create value. But there are layers of value to that we've been able to create, where I think if you're thinking about just capital as capital, or money is money, there's a difference between trying to go out and be wealthy and trying to be a capitalist. There's a huge difference. Capital, by definition, is creating money to reinvest, or wealth to reinvest in a institution, your business. Wealth is an individual endeavor. And sometimes as a capitalist, you're fortunate enough to reinvest enough in your business where the outcome becomes individual wealth. But that's if the only goal is individual wealth, the capitalist endeavor, your entrepreneur endeavor, will be will only serve something that is ultimately hollow at the end of the day. You do need it. That's coming from a person that has an individual perspective of like, I'm not saying you don't need money, because you absolutely do. Like, I don't know why we're on this now, but like I've heard this from, I don't know how many people, like, you know, money won't buy you happiness. Well, fuck off. Like, it absolutely will. Like, it enhances what you do in life. It is a vehicle. It is a fucking engine that drives what you can do in your life. And, you know, find something that you love and you'll never work another day in your life. That's all like Pinterest horseshit. Those are all like lies that people tell themselves. Those are lies that poor people tell themselves and make themselves feel better. That's what they fucking do. And I'm like, I'm fine. There's two ways to freedom, right? Like, and I've thought about this a lot. There's two ways, which is wealth or poverty. But either way, if you're in between, you're working for someone else at like, you know, 9 to 5 or whatever it might be, but you have to take like one or the other road. You can say, I'm going to be completely autonomous from the system. I'm going to own all of my time, or I'm going to build on the other direction. I'm going to buy back my time and be able to influence the things I'm directly interested in. In between is you're working for somebody else all the fucking time. And I just wasn't willing to do the poverty one, you know? So, I mean, I do have a lot of lessons learned when it comes to those things.
That would be a good chapter in a book.
What?
Well, you just
poverty and wealth.
Yeah.
Like, but I think with all of the things that we've learned in the last 8 years, these are like the big ticket items that I think I can really create value in people's lives are like things like we've already covered in this podcast. Like, I'm not a fucking lone wolf. Like, I can't do it. Like, I respect the fuck out of people that can do it, but that's not me. I have to have a team. I have to have a team in order to function, like, all the time. I have to have people in a team room. I have to have people structured, working on fucking problems. My family is also a team. Like, they're part of that team. They're part of my entire ecosystem. Like, I am not good at just, like, being lone wolf fucking Jason Bourne fucking dude. Like, I can't do it. And I think a lot of guys that I've talked to over the last several years, they go to work. I was just talking to a guy, 173rd guy, multiple combat rotations, real successful, like transitioned out, went to Goldman Sachs, fucking miserable. Like, absolutely miserable. Hates the culture, hates the people. Like, it's all like woke horse shit every day in the finance industries. And he's like, all I want to do is like immerse myself back into a culturally appropriate, like, professional position where I can be myself. It's like, I feel like I have to go to work every day. People judge me because I was in the fucking military. People think that I'm a fucking loony because I was in gunfights, and they think I'm like, you know, a murderer, and they're always talking to me about like my pronouns. And like, I just want to go to work on a team where people are like, hey man, let's go solve that problem. And I'm like, well, you're immersed. You took yourself out of like a meritocracy where the best idea wins with like tactics and techniques, with legitimate leadership and management training, where stakes are never been higher. And then you put yourself into a culture of, you know, finance industry fucktards, and you think that you're not going to be miserable. Like, you're going to be fucking miserable. Like, unless you, like, you know, define your expectations. But like, these are all the things where it's like, man, I've got story after story. I'm Ben Miller, whomever it is, right? It's like story after story. I've got guys just not being able to fit in their professional track, and then finding that they actually need a team and a subculture of people that they can bond with and have mission and purpose. Like, it's fucking important.
Yeah, I agree.
Did you fall asleep while I was talking? You did, didn't you?
No, I'm sucking it all in. I need this book like
He's
7 years
He's
ago.
getting ready to pitch you on a book idea.
Yeah. Well, Andy's next. You know what Andy agreed to? This morning.
I didn't agree to it. He basically said
said
this is
you
what
have to.
He's just like, hey, I'm going to send you this, and this is what you were going to do. And I was like, oh, okay.
For this book, you have to do it too.
What is it?
You're on the list.
Are you doing a book?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
Penguin
You're
Random.
doing a book.
The book's called Prepared, but every chapter has excerpts from subject matter experts.
Right.
So Andy's going to do mindset resilience, That's part of it.
So easy. Like when shit gets hard, just give up.
That's it. That's how long
Ring
it
the
is.
Bell. By Andy Stone.
Seriously, ring the bell.
With a picture of him in his uniform, the white one though, the one where
that's
he looks like
badass.
handsome, and then it's going to be like,
handsome.
ooh.
I like that photo.
That's a good photo of you.
I still have that uniform.
Yeah.
I can wear it for you guys if you want to.
I would love
Ooh.
that.
Are you going to? Oh, I won't talk about that.
What, getting married?
Oh yeah, can I talk about
Are
it?
you going to wear your whites in your
Dumbass.
in your wedding?
Are you doing that?
No.
You're going to wear your whites at your
We can wear our
wedding.
greens.
That's fucking sick.
Everybody's going to wear a uniform.
Sick as fuck.
Oh, I'm going to put an AEM.
Yeah.
Just an AEM.
Oh yeah. I'm actually going to add a few more ribbons because I've been out for a while. It's like nobody's going to check them.
Why don't
know what I
you
mean?
wear my whites?
I'll wear your trident
Yes.
on my blues. That'd be like I'm here. I'm supporting you.
Hey, dipshits, you're all on the text thread where I said go to Men's Warehouse and this is the suit you need to get. We're all wearing the same
But
shit.
I thought you were going to put us in different suits, and you're going to wear your whites.
But you can wear your
Can I
ribbons on
wear a
suits.
trident in support of you?
Yes.
You can
in
wear
my blues?
you can wear medals on suits. Isn't that a thing? I've seen people do that
I
recently.
think it's like old dudes doing it.
Yeah, you can.
Can
can do whatever
and
you
should
want.
are very,
Yeah.
very different things. Can and should are different. So I ordered the ties because we're going to be in flip-flop suits and ties. I will get
I like
you
that.
guys trident pins for your ties
That's a short list.
in support of active
Andy
duty
Stump.
SEALs.
Yeah.
No, not me.
Oh, just
in support of others. I won't wear one. You guys all will.
we will wear the tridents in
I'm down.
support
It's gonna be
of
fun.
active duty.
I wouldn't get
SEAls.
caught dead wearing my military uniform to my wedding.
What bet can we make with Andy
About
where
what?
he has to wear his fucking whites?
It would be so badass.
He's
though.
like,
Would it
bring-
for who? For you, Mike?
For me.
For Evan?
for media.
like the best fucking joke would be like,
You guys
if
are
we-
talking,
if
I think
we
you're talking about
win-
the choker whites, right?
How about this?
Yes.
How about this? The stakes for the game that we're gonna do for the elk that we're gonna kill, we'll have to like.
Which is actually before the wedding.
Oh, it is September. Oh no,
no, it's after.
it's after September.
But I'm trying to talk
Don't
about.
ever correct me like that again.
I'm trying-
August is after September.
I'm trying to do like the ultimate game for Andy would be like, if he loses at something, I need to see the video of him stalking an elk in his whites.
That I would actually do.
That'd be hilarious.
you would
dude.
do really well at that.
Yeah, there's so many of them there that I don't. They just be like, "Hey, what's up?"
That shit would be hilarious. That shit would be hilarious.
Just
You're
belly
just
crawling
like,
in choker whites.
in your whites.
You still have that though?
Yeah,
That's really cool.
I wore it one time actually for that picture, which was the day I got commissioned.
Really?
Yeah,
Hey, yeah, we had a debate. So, what did you retire as? 03 or 02?
03.
Oh,
03E.
I won.
Yeah, you win.
10% of BRCC. Give it up, man. There you go.
Was that just based on my lack of professionalism? You thought I must have been a more junior officer?
No,
That's what Evan thought. I thought you were a senior.
I thought you commissioned, and you literally got out like
No,
like.
no. I did 5 years.
Oh, shit.
As an officer.
You ran a platoon, right?
For a short period of time once I relieved the platoon commander.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, not really. He was a douche.
Yeah. Did he actually get
Hopefully, he
fired?
listens to the podcast.
He 100% got fired. Got kicked out of the military afterwards.
Shit!
It was bad.
Wow.
Wow. That
Yeah.
bad?
Did he keep his trident?
That is a good question, and I actually don't know. But I do know he's no longer serving.
That's how bad the relief was for getting rid of him? Like he did something egregious and then...
It was. He did not have the smoothest road leading up to that deployment, and the only reason I was with that platoon is one of the junior officers was his wife's getting ready to have a child, so they were going to allow him to stay back as we surged over. I think he was going to come over 4 or 6 weeks, something like that, after we were into it.
This is Afghan, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In Zabul province, of all places, the poorest province in Afghanistan. Truly. And the commanding officer pulled me into his office one day. It was like, hey, this guy's going to be doing this, like his wife is in this phase, so why don't you start integrating and working with this platoon in training, because I'll send you over there with them. And then I was going to bounce to become the operations officer in between 2 of the SEAL platoons. So I went out there with him, and it was pretty apparent that he was not the guy for the job. So he ended up getting shit canned shortly after We were on the receiving end of an ambush in side-by-sides, and it was kind of in that moment where I literally was just like sitting there, like literally counting in my head. I'm like, all right, I'm going to give this guy the opportunity to do his job at like 5, 4, 3, 2, okay.
It's time to go to work.
I got it.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I was moved back to be the operations officer because the other officer had come in, and the guy that I was working for made a horrendous error. And he goes, "Hey, Andy, how's so-and-so doing out there?" I was like, "Oh, we should go get a cup of coffee." 2.5 hours later, after I kind of filled him in, they flew out and relieved him in place like within 24 hours.
The black shell came. That would never happen in the Army. He would get promoted.
No, they had to get rid of him. So they flew Beret out. They surged a guy over from Iraq. Smallest SEAL ever, Nick Norris, actually came over and took over. And I was kind of bummed at first being the operations officer, and then I realized that both of the platoons love the capability of the javelin. So I just got to go everywhere.
Oh,
Ghost
yeah.
assaulter, they
would just be like, "Hey, what mountaintop do you want to be on?" So I got first choice of high ground for 10 months.
That's awesome. That's rad.
Oh.
But yeah, that's how I ended up for a short period of time. Essentially, I would describe it as I was operating in that role, even though I wasn't holding it on paper.
Right.
Again, this is an absolute fucking shit show. So, but the fact that after that conversation with the troop commander, they were like on a helicopter within 24 hours, went and got him, sat down, talked to the guys. Yeah.
That's legitimate.
And it wasn't awkward at all. We were all the same. Me and him. He ended up being flown back to the base where I was the operations officer.
So it wasn't awkward?
Not for me.
Yeah, but not for you at all.
Yeah, I just sit in the chow and stare at him like I'm with you right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Like it wasn't me.
Does he know that? Did he think it wasn't you?
There's no way in the world he couldn't have known that it was me. He sucked. And there's no reason that 14 or 15 other guys should put their lives or have their lives at risk for that guy. And there's a reason why he was ejected from the military shortly thereafter. I mean...
outside of that circumstance,
correct.
Something else happened.
Yeah.
And
he probably went on to Stanford to get an MBA.
Yeah.
I don't know where he got his degree. I think he might have been an academy guy. I actually don't know.
Oh.
Interesting.
So, yeah, but that's how I ended up over there in that job. And yeah, that's good. It's nothing like being an 03 with a 300 Win Mag and backpack full of javelins.
That's so awesome.
That's fucking rad.
So rad.
Well,
I enjoyed it.
yeah, that sounds, I mean, I would still sign up for that duty.
Yeah.
Like, I'm fat, but I could still do it.
It'd be fun.
It'd be great.
Would you go back right now? Just
If I had a backpack full of javelins, yeah.
What do you say to guys? Have you been hit up by anybody or asked about anybody whether or not they should go over to Ukraine? That's one
You
I've
mean as like a civilian?
or guys who are out of the military and they're like, "Hey, what do you think? Should I go?"
I tell everybody no. I'm like, it's everybody I know. I'm like, I understand where their heads are at. Like they want to go get it on. I got it. But when you go over there, and this is just firsthand experience, and I think all of us understand this, which is you're a nobody. So you're going to be like shoveling shit and pushing a broom until, I don't know, until somebody decides that you need to do something else. But you don't speak the language. You're going to cause, if you're out there, you're not integrated appropriately, you're going to cause more chaos than you are organization. And most of my experience for like success in combat zones is like, may the most organized element win. And if you're contributing to chaos, you're actually contributing to the enemy's endeavor. So I always recommend people, I'm like, there are other ways versus like going over there and contributing to the chaos. It is already war.
Yeah.
War is already chaos. So I get it. Like I understand why people want to go. Like, hey man, like it's a war. I mean, I've had to have this conversation with a few people where they're like, I'm going to go kill Soviets. I'm like, they're not Soviets anymore. Like just so everybody else, like it's, you know, Russian Federation. But like I'm not encouraging it by any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's too chaotic of an environment.
What do you say, Mike?
The humanitarian piece. I think it's, you know, just like Coffee or Die was reporting, just with Jericho. I talked to him right when he got back, and I appreciate like the ground truth. So that's important. I'll be helping ex-overland and Jack Carr. We'll be going there doing humanitarian aid for refugees, especially women and kids. That's all I care about. I don't care about the circumstance on the ground as far as like getting involved because it's too convoluted. It's too messy. But I do care about the disaffected women and children, just like I would in any situation. And so anything that can help, especially with our skills of, I just sent Amber over, who's my family preparedness director, and she's a nurse. She went over there and helped save our allies with Chad Robichaud, helping kids. And that's how I'll be involved. But I agree. The chaos on the ground is too convoluted. I think policy-wise, we're making a lot of errors that we're going to pay for later with Russia threatening Finland. And if they join the alliance, then they'll destroy them. I believe them. And if they do that, they're giving themselves excuses because the gloves are off. So what's their limitations? Maybe none. Maybe Putin's just like, I'm just going to see how far I can get away with stuff. So it is political. It is chaos. It is a mess. And I wouldn't want to encourage anybody to go there and lose their life for war when there's plenty of things they need to be doing at home, taking care of their families.
Yeah. Well, I think Finland actually voted to be part of NATO.
Yeah. Just yesterday. Yeah. So we'll see.
I think, from my perspective, I think that he's like, he's overplaying his hand.
He is definitely.
I think he is like, these are really complex, obviously, but I'm like, man, this guy's like, it seems like he's making some very rash decisions, and there's only a few reasons why people are making rash decisions. Like
he's got cancer and he's terminal.
Yeah, like he's painted into a corner.
Do you think there's any truth to that too? I actually saw that yesterday. Do you think there's any truth to that? The health concerns? Hard to say, right? Because I saw it on a mainstream media report, and it's not like there has to be any legitimacy tied to that. But it also
could be like when the biggest superpower in the world is the weakest it's ever been in the history of the country. Speaking about Biden and his administration, super weak. Then why would you not take advantage of the legacy that you grew up in, the legacy and culture you grew up in, which is the Federation?
Yeah.
Why would you not want to rebuild the Soviet Empire and see what you can get away with? Like they talk about the conversation now is there's war crimes being committed. Do we really think pulling an oligarch's $25 million yacht out of the ocean and cutting off the bank account is going to affect what their policy is and how they're acting? It's not going to change anything. And so there's something radical in it all, but it could also be, it's an opportunity, a time of opportunity. It's opportunistic. He's going, hey, look, we're never going to have a new Biden. He's going to lose the election in 3 years. Let's see what we can get away with. And then him thinking, well, in 3 years, we'll be back to square one and we'll be done. But at least we'll extend our reach and our capacity.
Right.
Which is insane. I mean, think about if Trump was in because he got reelected, would this have happened? The answer is no. Because we had a messaging platform, and we also had the rapport, which was necessary, to say, look, you don't want to do this. And we'll tell you to your face. Biden hasn't even met with any of these dudes. Like, he hasn't even picked up the phone because Putin won't answer his phone calls. And so that's all scary stuff because, I mean, we could be on the cusp of World War III, but then how we handle World War III is why I'm concerned. Because I don't think we'll handle it well. I don't think
it would be a world war, though. I don't think China would side with Russia because China's in business. Like we all have to understand. Like China's in business and they're not ready.
Yeah, they're playing the long.
They're playing the long game. Like if they went chips in with Russia at this point,
they'd be stupid.
They'd be stupid because you would have the entire European and Western civilization after this guy.
Yeah.
So it is a world war in the context of, yes, you're going to have the entire world against you. Yeah. You have no allies except for, North Korea, Iran, which I mean, their economies are less than the size of fucking New York. So combined economies. So even if we looked at it from a purely strategic, World War perspective, China's not going to go chips in on a loser. They're not. They're playing the 100-year goal, not the 5 to 10-year goal. Like Russia's playing short-sighted game, and
it's like over what?
Over what?
Like Ukraine's completely been bombed to shit. What are you fighting for? I know, they get closer to the EU or you get closer to Europe. Like what's the point? And I think it has to do with those legacy cultural things. Like his mom told him one time that the empire, he needed to get back the empire, and it's like living some kind of legacy that he wants to get before he dies. So there could be something to that, man.
Yeah.
Seems desperate.
He does seem desperate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree. Speaking
erratic.
of desperate, you guys want to get dinner?
I'm hungry. I could eat. How about you, Michael?
I could always eat.
There's a P.F. Chang's
John?
down the road.
Yeah, that's true.
Wow.
Actually, you know what? You guys, that barbecue joint, what do they call
Korean barbecue joint?
that? Well, for you guys, it's just
We call it
Evan and I
barbecue.
would like to go to Korean barbecue.
But you guys can just call it barbecue.
It's our barbecue.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to our barbecue. Yeah.
Should we go freak him out by taking you guys there?
Let's go.
I'm sorry. How long have we been on a podcast?
Yeah, that's great.
So
That's
for the
about right.
entire movie Titanic, John has been standing monitoring audio and video. Good job, John.
Good job, John.
Man. Proud of you, man.
Good job, John.
Kamsahamnida, as we would say in Korean for all you
Yeah.
white people listening to this. Kamsahamnida.
Let's
Yeah.
go get Korean barbecue.
It does sound really good right now. What do you guys
Full
think?
disclosure, I don't know what Korean barbecue is.
We're going to go get
You've never had
bulgogi.
Korean
What is it,
barbecue?
bulgogi?
Ooh, bro. So John is the master of this because you have to
You
cook
made
it
us
yourself.
that Asian bowl today.
Are we literally?
out of the back of your Saturn?
Are we? So we're about to go pay a place to cook our own food.
No. Yeah, but it's supposed to be like that. But we have an official Korean, like a real one, that legitimately will cook it proper. We just did this the other day, and it was amazing.
You guys
Really?
are cutting the meat with scissors, right?
Yep, that's part of it. It's so racist that you'd say
Yeah.
that, though.
What part of cutting the meat with scissors is racist?
I don't know. Just the
I
way
don't
just
know.
the way you looked at it at me.
Yeah.
I
You
mean-
said scissors.
That's what the fuck you were using.
That is.
You put it in your story.
Yeah.
Unlike
did.
me that just puts bike wrecks in my
Yeah.
story.
I like the diversity here in this
Yeah.
room, which is I feel like Andy and I are doing a great job because we're 50-50, right?
yeah.
Actually, I take that back because technically,
Yeah.
yeah, you're only 12 and a half, but you look like you're hundo. Yeah. So
After your black sauce talk, I don't know if you're in a position to talk about stuff.
The
Diversity.
soy sauce, the
Did they
black
have any of that
sauce.
sauce at the Korean barbecue place?
Black
doubt
sauce?
it.
There'll be some black sauce there.
Yeah.
I'll hook you up.
Here's a serious question before we get off the podcast. No.
I'm hitting my fifth win. Let's just keep going. Let's
go.
keep rolling with it.
Let's go get some.